as long as I'm still going out. So how's it going, guys? Oh, hello, Future Shop. Yeah? How you doing, bro?
Good evening, man. You good? Yeah, I'm decent.
Yeah, good.
How's your Wednesday going? Big up, everyone.
Yeah, I was going to say, just said, thank goodness the World Cup's over, so I can get back to normal life again without scheduling my life around football.
Yeah, it's kind of empty now. It's like, oh my God, what am I doing? What's my purpose in life? No, do you know what? It's a good opportunity.
I've had enough football. It's all right. It'll start up again in a month, though, so.
It's a good opportunity to just like take some time out. If you're into football, it's a good opportunity now to take some time out from it because there's only 4 weeks till the new season now. So I'm watching no football content for the next 4 weeks. I'm just going to try and catch up with movies. I'm so far behind with movies and like watch a few podcasts. Been watching a few, and Joe Rogan's had a few interesting guests on recently. I watched a few of them. Working through one about like sort of ancient history at the moment, which is quite interesting. So yeah, we're just going to take these few weeks to just forget about football. It's just too much. It's saturation.
Oh yeah, because I go to a few games. I haven't been for a while. But my mate, as soon as the season's over, my mates are already in withdrawal. They already need more football. Right. It's sort of literally the Sunday after the Saturday or whatever. They're already missing it. Yeah, I don't know why, but you need a break from everything. But yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed the World Cup. It's been great. I watched the early games, group matches, and all the way to the semi-final. Of course, I also watched the final. But yeah, I enjoyed the third place playoff. That was pretty good. It was It wasn't a very diverse team that England fielded. It was very. It was maybe it was diverse because I think diversity really means just black people everywhere. But really, I think diversity should reflect the actual makeup of the nation. But I think there were two white fellas on that team, Declan Rice and the goalkeeper, not Pickford, the other one, Henderson.
Oh God, no, Pickford. Yeah, Pickford. In terms of the starting 11, you'd have Rice, Pickford, and Kane.
No. I'm talking about the. No, he wasn't in the starting for the third place playoff game against France. Kane wasn't in it.
Do you know what? I can't remember.
I checked it out.
Didn't he? Yeah.
It was a really unusual choice because me and my mate we thought this is a team. This is a lineup where they've given up because of course Thingy was absent. O'Reilly was not in it. Rogers. And Kane wasn't in there, and Declan Rice was, but don't really like very much, but he scored the first goal. So yeah, it's a weird one, but of course it went to 6-4. It's totally bizarre.
Well, the thing is, I think obviously what they did is they tried to give people a bit of playing time who hadn't had it. I was a bit pissed off that Rice played because we know, as an Arsenal fan, we know he's been playing injured all season, pretty much all season. And then for him to play this extra game, it's just kind of like, why is it necessary? Why? Because he's so broken, this guy. And, he's just on the verge of like a long-term injury, at any minute. It's a good job he's an athlete. Like he's proper, he's what's the word? He's got a strong physique, like he can take it. But even for him, there's a limit. Do you know what I mean? So... but yeah, do you know what it is? When the season ends, when the main football season ends, it was nice to have the World Cup as a kind of to tag on to it. But I think World Cup has ended. I'm at that point, me personally anyway, I'm just at the point in time where I'm like, right, I need a break from all this. I'm kind of tired of it all. Just give me 4 weeks. And it ain't that long, is it? 4 weeks, let's be fair. It's going to be August the 21st in less than a month now. So that's the first day of the new season. It's crazy.
Yeah, so... Okay, did you already? I'm in some fucking problem here. Can't the sharing thing isn't working. It's just opening new windows. That's annoying. So this is a new kind of bullshit that.
So you're not able to add scene and just put the.
No, every time I put add scene and I put media and it just opens a new scene without doing. What happens if I click on that? Nothing happens if I click on that. Okay, this is new nonsense. So I don't know what to do. I can't share anything.
Let me just see if I can share this.
Oh, hang on. I think I've got it now. Is this? Yeah. Okay, it's fine. Got it. Yeah. So, did you see the AI intro I made?
Well, I was about to say I like your sort of commentary on Andrew Tate's fashion decisions. He does make some very questionable fashion decisions, I must say.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know. Some people are sort of defending him. I think I mentioned we talked last week about him and others, like Sneeko and like Nick Fuentes, how they sort of seem to be compensating, by, if you know what I mean. I mean, I'm sort of suspicious that Sneeko made sexual overtures to Andrew Tate.
And he said it himself.
A lot of frolicking and fun times those guys were having, and I expect they're kind of probably sauna bros or hot tub bros. There's a very sort of there's a lot of, I won't say manliness, but it's just a lot of meat, a lot of man, a lot of sort of not manliness, but just a lot of men all together with sort of excluding women. I mean, the thing is, we know that Andrew Tate has sort of professional relationships with women in that he exploits them sexually, allegedly. But as for healthy relationships with women, I don't know if that's Andrew Tate's thing. I think you saw that picture of him. That's actually a real picture of him with that sort of violet satin chemise with a tight
and the trousers
and without socks. And he's dressed exactly as an Asda George model, modeling the female range of clothes. So how does dressing like a woman sort of inspire young men to be more masculine? I'm not quite sure.
Of a weird one. I mean, yeah, if you look at those trousers as well, that length of trouser, it doesn't even like cover his ankle. It's like going up.
The tightness of those pants, man. I mean, a man in tight pants might as well be a eunuch or, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like if you've got massive legs, like if you've got really well built legs, then kind of it sort of comes naturally because it's difficult to find stuff that isn't tight. But Tate's like 6'2". He's quite got, he's quite. I mean, he's built, but he's, especially for a tall guy. But he's got kind of quite thin legs. So yeah, he is obviously wearing purposely tight.
Yeah, I mean, there's a word for people like that, but I'm not going to say it on YouTube. But it begins with F and it's got 2 G's and a T at the end. But anyway. I don't know, but I think he's a fucking load of bullshit. I think he probably did do what he's accused of. I've never particularly liked him. I just think that just turning gender relations into a sort of exploitation or a kind of trickery, you're trying to trick the opposite gender into going out with you or dominating them and sort of in that cynical, self-serving way isn't healthy. I don't think there's anything healthy about. I mean, okay, Andrew Tate himself is probably physically healthy. He keeps fit. That's about the only thing that's literally healthy about his whole thing. What do you think about him?
Well, on top of that, though, like he has about 14 coffees a day, like smokes endless cigars. And when you saw him in that boxing match against, I forget the guy's name now who beat him. He was gassing out after like the second. I was gassing out basically at the start of the second round. So, I mean, with the Sneeko thing as well, Tate said that apparently Sneeko got pissed with him because Tate rejected his advances. That's what he claims. But Andrew Tate says a lot of things, do you know what I mean, for effect. A lot of selective exaggeration. He's actually quite gonzo. I've likened him before to Hunter S. Thompson in the sense that Hunter S. Thompson's writing would be kind of like exaggeration of the truth for effect. And I see a lot of that in Andrew Tate, a lot of his early stuff and sort of more later stuff. To be honest with you, I used to be a bit kind of more into his stuff back before he became quite famous. So he used to do this show called Tate Confidential, which was very similar to Top Gear in a way. It was just like 3 blokes who, had good rapport, good chemistry, like going to like different places around the world, driving around, getting into shenanigans. And it was fun. It was a fun series. But yeah, obviously the web.
Yeah, but by that point, he'd already done the alleged pimping and he had his multi-million pound sex industry by then, right?
Well, yeah, he called it PhD, pimping hose degree.
Yeah. Okay, so right.
So there we go. Yeah, very questionable. But what his argument is like
that kind of stuff doesn't float with Christianity, but with Islam, a lot more tolerant about having sort of
multiple wives.
kind of thing, So,
Yeah, I mean, like his argument was the women were like happy to be making so much money and all this kind of stuff. But if you actually look into how they were managing them, like how they were just taking the vast majority of their money, how they were conning them out of, they were saying that there was certain like fees or taxes that they had to pay, but they, the girls didn't have to pay that. It was just the Tate's way of extorting more money from them. And they actually got fined for this. In fact, I remember making this prediction like 3 years ago. Like when I was looking at when they first got into trouble and it started becoming more public, I looked at all the accusations against them and I was looking at it. I already knew them for about a year at that point. And I was like, the one thing I don't think they're going to get away with is the fake tax thing where they're scamming the girls. And in the end, they didn't get away with that. They got fined like 5 million for that. So the girls, whoever brought the case to court with regards to the scamming, they won. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when he eventually gets extradited to the UK. There's a lot of serious charges there, including...
It's a very selective prosecution, isn't it? I mean, I don't know if you noticed, because I don't know how clear it was in the intro, but I was going to say that he's the first Islamic sex offender that the UK police have actually shown genuine enthusiasm and dedication to busting. But it happens that he's actually a half white guy, and so yeah, he's the enemy of the state. But when it suits the state, they suddenly remember that exploiting women is bad.
Well, I mean, yeah, like this is it. He was talking a lot. Talking too much, basically. So a lot of the sort of Pakistani Muslim gangs and stuff like this, they tend to be a bit more surreptitious than Tate. They're not going out there talking to like millions of people on Twitter and whatnot. So, and telling people kind of what's going on behind the scenes in the upper echelons of like above government and all that. So it's going to be very interesting.
It's kind of like Russell Brand, isn't it? They only really go after these people once they go off script. So,
well, yeah, it's funny how all these people.
Someone's put Andrew Tate in the limelight for a reason. I mean, he's not a spontaneous phenomenon. He's sort of his role is to be deliberately divisive and to divide society and whatever on gender lines. I mean, there is a lot. He's a lot of what he said. Well, there's a genuine complaint about what's happening in gender relationships and feminism and that, but to actually react in a sense with the same evil as the problem you're trying to solve isn't a way to solve anything. You don't fight evil with evil. You fight good, and that neutralizes it. But evil with evil, which is I think Tate is. I mean, without putting too fine upon it, I think he's probably slightly maliciously evil. And that's explainable though, because his father's a very weird character. So his father's African American chess. Well, he's passed on, but he was an African American chess international. His mother was a British white woman. And his father, as you may know, he was an American chess master. There's quite a lot more to him. He was raised Christian, Andrew Tate was. But his father, Henry Tate, had an issue with narcissistic personality disorder. He was discharged from the US military on the basis that he couldn't take orders. He couldn't be told what to do. He wouldn't follow instructions. So he had narcissistic personality disorder. And I think Andrew Tate himself suggested that his father was in the CIA.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he talks about it a lot, to be fair.
So I'm just going to try and share this other. Okay. So, yeah, hang on. I'm having a bit of bother with the sharing business again.
Yeah, I mean, look,
what do you think will happen to me then?
There's a lot of serious charges there, including charges with minors. Not just the fact that there's sex with a 15-year-old, but there's also charges of making indecent images and distributing indecent images of minors, which are obviously, decades in jail. So some people are postulating that him and Tristan, his brother, could spend the rest of their lives in jail. I doubt that will happen. But it's interesting because I told you a little story, and I might as well tell it on air when we were backstage about how on Instagram, I stumbled across this. Instagram, basically, like I was telling you, it will like just throw things at you. If you're 18, if you're male and 18 years old plus, it will throw things at you like female models, football, sports things, fighting, blah blah blah. And there was one point where it threw this one at me where I was like, well, hang on a second, this thing's showing me frigging profiles of children because it looked like a child's picture on it. So I clicked on it because I was going to get it and sort of report it and say, look, stop showing me like pictures of like, stop showing me profiles of kids, please. But then I noticed on this profile, which was of a 17-year-old girl, she was standing out in a field somewhere in like a fucking bikini or something. So very, very dodgy. She didn't even look 17. She looked like 15. But I saw on it that she was followed by Tristan Tate, the brother of Andrew. And it was at that point that I thought, oh shit, these accusations of underage stuff, there might be some substance to this. Because why is Tristan, who at that point would have been like a 32-year-old man, why is he following the profile of an Instagram quote unquote model who's 17 years old, looked 15? It's very dodgy, man.
Okay, yeah, totally. So I mean, it's usually a cycle of abuse, and I suggest probably that Emery Tate was highly abusive. I mean, it's not my suggestion, but it's suggested that he was abused. His family, he's credited their father's discipline, warrior mindset as major influences, but he was diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, which contributed to his discharge from the U.S. Air Force. He was a very clever guy. I mean, he's fluent in Russian, worked in intelligence-related roles, and obviously linguist for the CIA and the chess master. I mean, very interesting person, but probably not a very nice man, as they say.
No. I mean, Tate tells a funny story. Andrew tells a funny story about like he would play chess against him, obviously, but Andrew would be in the lounge and Emery's dad would be in the kitchen, and Emery's dad would be shouting moves from the kitchen without even seeing the chessboard, and he would still be able to beat him. And at this point, Tate wasn't a kid. Tate had been playing for like years, so he was pretty decent. But you just always like marveled at the fact that his dad could play chess with him whilst not even looking at the board, because he had the mental ability to remember where the pieces were. Yeah. So he's not a stupid guy, obviously, but
but his problem with physical aggression, beating women up, apparently, serial infidelity. So I think Tate, probably Andrew, the younger one, is probably basing his relationship with women based on his father as a role model. When you might say that he was not a very positive one.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen the video of him like beating the woman with a belt?
Jeepers, what? Tate Senior?
So Andrew is probably about 27, 28 in this. He's about 10 years old. And he's basically like just beating a woman with a belt on the bed. But
Jeepers.
Apparently she's come out and said, that it was all kind of like a sort of sex game, kind of like a
sensual beating me up, yeah.
But she could have just been coerced to say that. I mean, how do you know? Do you know what I mean? So you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's done for. I think he's done for, but it gives me no pleasure because it's annoying that they've only come after him solely because he's seen as a figure. I mean, I don't even know if you could say he's dissident right, but he's seen as a sort of figure on the right, isn't he?
Yeah.
Associates with people like Nick Fuentes, but I mean, now he's a Muslim. It's all gone a bit up in the air. He's now battling for a completely different side. So it's pretty weird. I'm surprised him being a Muslim. I didn't sort of let him get away with it, as seeing it as this part of his sort of cultural prerogative to do that kind of thing to women, but apparently not this time.
Well, he says he's a Muslim, but then there's videos of him gambling. So, I mean, I don't know, make that make sense.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I mean, that literally come out. There's a video that came out 2 weeks ago. He's in a casino gambling. And obviously that's haram, isn't it? So, I mean, okay.
All right.
So
So
it seems a bit
these are
odd.
lists of his sort of some of his the charges are pretty here. They're pretty bad.
It says here's the full list of charges against the Tate brothers, along with
Is that sharing? Okay.
the Tate brothers, along with some of the crypto scams they promoted. The U.S. Marshal.
Yeah, that's the worst thing is the crypto scams. That actually offends me even more than. Well, that offends me more than his treatment of women, actually, because the crypto scam thing is premeditated and cynical, and it's actually exploiting the people who support you. Do you know about his crypto scams?
So he started one called was it Top G? There was basically there's two coins that he launched. I'm sure one was called Top G, and then there was another one called Real, and I can't say obviously, but Real N-word Tate.
Okay, right. Yeah.
So that was one, and then there was another one. I believe it was called Top G, and it was doing well for a while, and then it just kind of like I don't really know what happened. Maybe you know more about what happened.
Well, I don't think the point of these things is for them to do well in the long term. That's the whole cynical thing about it. What's his name? Robinson's another one. Tommy Robinson. He's always releasing shit coins and pumping them, and then once it's risen to how much money he wants to make, he'll just sell all his holdings, and then the sucker's left with the bag,
Yeah.
Which is what Bitcoin seems to be shaping up to be lately. It's a rinse and repeat cycle. So basically it's basically a high-tech Ponzi scheme, as I've said before, because the new value, the value that's coming to Bitcoin, the reason that you're getting your Bitcoin is worth more when it is worth more is because people are buying it. More people are. So, and then when you sell, you're taking their money. You're taking the money of the people who got in last. And then when everyone starts to sell, it always obviously goes down. So those people who came in last, it's the same with these shit coins of Andrew Tate and Tommy Robinson. And I find that offensive ain't the word, but sort of disingenuous, and it's
dishonorable, like disrespectful, disingenuous.
You don't scam your guys, you don't scam your supporters, right?
And it's crazy Bitcoin actually, because that was not long ago, about a year ago anyway. That was about 100k GP.
Was it about 80k? Did it get as far as 80k?
It got to 100. It got to 100 because loads of people. I remember, loads of people were posting about it. But now it's down to 49 or 50. So I mean, it's halved in a year. So I don't know, man. Yeah. I don't see any long term. Look, I don't know enough about. I can't really make a car. I don't really know enough about it. But it's like with NFTs. Do you remember NFTs?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Non-fungible tokens.
It was so obviously never going to have the legs. It was never going to have longevity. I remember going on a date with a girl years ago, and she was into NFTs. And the date didn't go well because I was kind of cussing out NFTs, and she was like acting like I was an idiot and that she was going to get rich off them and all this kind of stuff. I was like, okay, then. And then look what happened. Like they're absolutely worthless now.
It was all pumped because they were giving them away to celebrities and to TV presenters in America. And then they would do little bits trying to flog, saying how important, how big NFTs are going to be. It's because they were given free NFTs. So it was kind of, it's a scam. It's a pure scam. But let's just go into this a bit.
Officials have arrested them on a British extradition warrant. Somehow people are still defending these men as misunderstood masculinity influencers who merely offended the wrong people, Kat.
That's an element to it, that they've offended the wrong people, that he's kicked the sort of left-wing hornet's nest and the lefty wasps are coming after him. But at the same time, he's not a champion worth defending. Hang on. Here we go.
This stopped being about offensive podcasts a long time ago. Here's the actual record. UK. The Crown Prosecution Service now wants both brothers extradited over a combined 59 criminal charges involving 7 alleged victims. Andrew Tate faces 42 charges in total. The original 10 charges comprise 3 counts of the R word, 4 counts of assault occasioning actual bodily harm, 2 counts of human 1 count of controlling prostitution for gain. The newly announced 32 charges comprise 7 further counts of the R word, 3 counts of arranging or facilitating traffic for sexual exploitation,
How you say sexual?
3 further counts of assault occasioning actual bodily harm.
I just said, like, why is he like say sexual? You can say sexual, mate. Sorry. Anyway, go on.
Oh, mate, you've just fucking hardbanned us forever now by saying that word, bro.
Oh no, I haven't.
Well, I think we're already pretty much fucking soft banned, so we might as well say everything. No, I don't know. I'm just things I'll try not to say, obviously.
I think he's being a little bit overly cautious. That's all.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I can kind of understand not saying like the R word as such, but I mean, you can say sexual. Come on, bloody hell. What if you want to talk about like sexual diseases? Do you know what I mean? Like
19 offences relating to indecent images of a young'un and extreme P.
That's pretty bad, isn't it? Though, it's obviously
what I was talking about before.
What's going on there, huh?
This is what I was talking about.
Why is the children involved? You know?
Yeah, you know what extreme pornography means. Do you know what I mean? You know.
That's really bad. Yeah, that's fucked up. Yeah.
Tristan Tate facing 17 charges in total, the original 11 comprising of 3 counts of the R word, 6 counts of assault occasioning actual bodily harm, 2 counts of human trafficking. The additional 6 comprise 2 further counts of R word.
You can't say human. I mean, oh dear.
SA, 3 counts of arranging or facilitating trafficking for sexual exploitation. The additional alleged offences occurred between July 2010 and August 2017. Both men deny the allegations and the charges.
He's been denied bail as well.
Yeah,
but I want to look it up to the I want to look into the crypto scams that he's been involved with, because that sort of
top G. That's it. Yeah,
that shows that he's the narcissistic personality disorder has probably sort of infected him too. And obviously, narcissistic NPD is a sort of is a mental illness where you can't empathize with other people. It's kind of it's almost on the sociopathy spectrum, sort of not quite as far as psychopathy, but not in the same sort of domain.
90%, 99%. Roost collapsed by more than 90%, and its treasury was laid and Tate. Okay, all rugged. A connected wallet cluster controlled 30% of JER before it fell roughly 90%.
Yeah, okay, so 30%. So I presume this was one of his coins.
Yeah, so was Roost. He did a whole kind of like video.
Roost collapsed by more than 90%.
Yeah.
So basically,
he engineered collapse.
Yeah, there was this whole kind of series of videos that came out, and they were launching this coin, or someone quote unquote was launching this coin called Roost, and they were trying to find out who this someone was, but it was actually them, and blah blah blah. So it's all nonsense.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he promised not to sell, apparently, because once he sells his holding, then the price would drop.
Arrested the brothers on behalf of Britain so extradition proceedings can begin, but Florida nevertheless opened their own criminal investigation after the brothers entered the state in 2025. The Florida Attorney General announced that subpoenas and search warrants had been issued, although I could find no publicly announced Florida indictment as of. One example is Daddy Coin. Approximately 40% of the supply now is worth a cent. Right, it's worth barely anything.
Daddy's
barely
worth
something. 40% of the supply was
Daddy Coin, right?
Yeah, I remember that. That was the main one initially that he was bringing out, I believe. It was the first one he did. That's crazy that it's a cent, because that used to be up. I can't remember. It was way higher than that. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah,
but that's a cent now. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I was transferred to Andrew Tate's public wallet. He promised not to sell it, later promoting a supposed burn worth more than $100 million, although the token reportedly had only around $2.5 million in real liquidity. 11 wallets funded through Binance purchased large positions immediately.
The thing is, it's
Tate
pretty
publicly
dumb.
promoted the token.
Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, it's pretty dumb to do this, considering he's such a public figure as well. And he has such a sort of big mouth about things, and he's very ostentatious, and he's, always making videos about these things. It just seems not that bright to do this, unless he just doesn't care, I suppose.
Well, I mean, that's how he made his money, and I suppose he's always been quite mobile. He's always been able to. He spent a long time. He spent a while in Dubai, didn't he?
Yeah.
I suppose he would have been pretty safe there, and I think he assumed he was safe in America. Because one would assume. I mean, although he's not exactly, we don't know if Trump if he likes Trump particularly, but we know that somewhat he's on broadly the sort of somewhat the same political spectrum to some extent, despite him being a Muslim. There's a sort of crossover between MAGA and Trump and Andrew Tate. He sort of fringes of the right wing, and he sort of lives in that sort of world. So a lot of people who, sort of a lot of the kids who like Trump probably like Tate too. He probably assumed he was pretty safe.
Well, they've got American citizenship, haven't they? So I think that they thought that protected them from being extradited.
The wallets bought at nearly identical times and in similar amounts.
Yeah, so there's a big detail here coins, about all the coins that he released and what the scam was, what they did, when they sold, and left people holding the bag. Okay, that's fucking me around. All right, I'm going to close that. Okay, fine. So, yeah.
I didn't realize the coins had crashed that badly. To be honest with you, I hadn't really been keeping an eye on it or anything for the past sort of year or so. Like, I haven't really been so interested in what I quite like. I mean, I follow them both on X. I've kind of become less and less interested. Some of what Tristan posts can be quite interesting because he's kind of a big history buff and he sometimes posts some interesting stuff about that. But yeah, I mean, do you know what it is sometimes when these sort of figures come into the limelight? I think they have kind of like a sort of sell-by date. Like you get into people for maybe like 1 or 2 years, maybe, and then the kind of cycle comes to a natural end. I find that unless it's something like, physics, the universe, quantum physics, that kind of thing, or, UFOs, the supernatural, those kind of things that you'll just be curious about for a lifetime. I find when these people who are interesting for whatever reason come into the sort of public vernacular, and you get into them, they kind of have a lifespan of like maybe max a couple of years. Like, I don't know how you find these kind of things, but yeah, I find it with stuff like that, which is a bit more superficial than, looking into the wonders of the cosmos. I just find that it can't last that long. I find this when I look at, like, for example, when I've watched football content creators, I'll start watching them and I'll watch them kind of like every week or most days of the week. And then after about a year, it's like you start to just sort of not, you just sort of lose interest or you can get kind of tired of it. They kind of have a shelf life. So like that was the same with me for them. Like I was explaining backstage, they used to do, before they were super famous, they used to do a really good show, Tate Confidential. So I used to watch that a lot. So that kind of got me into them as such. But now looking at all this, obviously, that's been going on, obviously you can't, defend any of that if it turns out to be true. So it'll be interesting because he's got so many bloody ardent supporters who are kind of very similar to your flat earthers or your climate change alarmists. They're so absolutely ideologically captured that they'll defend it to the hilt. It'll be interesting to see if and when he's actually convicted of these crimes or some of these crimes, how they react, because he's got so many fans across the world.
Yeah, I know, but he doesn't really have any high. Does he have any high-profile fans? I mean, Nick Fuentes and Sneaker aren't exactly. They're lunatics as well, but if Nick Fuentes is telling everyone to vote Democrat now, that guy's off his head,
Yeah, Christ, that's the last thing you want to do.
He's madness, yeah, absolutely nutcase. So I don't know. I don't think there are any. I don't know. I think we can. I think what he's done. I think it'll be exposed, and I think a lot of people will just be mentally cut loose. And I don't think people will defend him. I haven't seen a lot of evidence of people defending him.
To be fair, I have, but like I say, I do follow them both, so I'm more likely I'm more likely to see that. Do you know what I mean?
Andrew Tate is very intelligent, obviously, and he's very articulate. But that doesn't make him a good person. It doesn't make him a good role model. His father was extremely intelligent, but he was an arsehole. And just because someone's smart and articulate doesn't mean you should listen to them.
Yeah, look, historically...
I'm not telling you this. I'm just saying in general.
No, I know that. I'm just saying that in terms of value, I think when you listen to some of his old stuff about, like, relationships and you know how to approach kind of like the dating game and sort of life in general. He does give some good little speeches and good advice. But I mean, if any of this is true or these charges are true, then you know, fuck it. Who cares?
Yeah.
That's completely washed to the side in the face of like fucking.
But it looks
you know,
like they might be true though. What?
Extreme pornography and stuff like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, what he. Yeah, well, I mean, why we shouldn't give him any quarter is because this is exactly what the Illuminati do. This is what the Freemasons do. They compromise people with sex blackmail. How do we know Andrew Tate wasn't involved in some kind of Freemasonic sex blackmail cult?
It has all the hallmarks of it, doesn't it?
Anyway, so we'll leave it there. I thought it's interesting what's happening to him because I sort of denounced him last week. I just thought that's a guy who's overcompensating with his whole bullshit and the whole demeanor and everything. I mean, he doesn't extol the best qualities of maleness and masculinity. He's like a weasel. I just don't like the guy, and I don't know. That's it for me. He just doesn't even do the job that he claims he's doing. He's
no, fair enough.
Empowering young men. I don't think so. I don't think so.
No, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like you know, well, look, let's keep an eye on it. It'll be interesting.
Let's keep an eye on Andrew. Yeah, he's banged up now, isn't he? In the shithole in Miami, right? A really bad prison.
In Miami, yeah, it's got to be better than a Romanian prison, surely. But yeah, they're in solitary confinement, them both, apparently. So,
I mean, yeah, and he's going to be brought back to the UK going to be pilloried and held up to ridicule by the press and all the lefties, of course. That's the only thing that's annoying about this is the lefties, which is annoying. Yeah.
Anyway, so
in fact, it's going to sort of not prove their point, but it's going to sort of make their fraudulent case that the right wing are all incels and women haters and that kind of thing, right?
Yes, unfortunately, he's going to have to deal with that, but whatever. I mean, but
it seems this cunt Binface, who we talked about last week, I think he's full of shit. I think he's a lefty, and he's a sort of he's obviously controlled opposition, but he's playing his part of being this sort of breaking the monotony, this sort of fun character who, is mocking Nigel Farage and standing against Farage and all these hate in inverted commas. And he's written a piece in The Spectator, and The Spectator is supposedly supposed to be a right-wing journal.
But it's changed, though, don't you think? I mean, do you follow much of it? I mean, I don't actually follow The Spectator.
I can't say I follow Count Binface's oeuvre of work. I don't know how extensive his collected works are, or what he's even done, how many galaxies he's defended against the evil rightoid race from Planet Common Sense or whatever. But I've no idea really what he is. I thought when he turned up occasionally, you think, oh, that's a bit of a laugh. That's funny. Yeah, bin face. That's funny. Bins are funny. And it's funny that a man has a bin for a face. But when people like this start actually trying to do serious political points, that's when it's no longer funny. And it's when you realize it's like the establishment have agents everywhere. So even a novelty candidate is an agent waiting to be activated. Even a prick like Binface, there should be no meaning to it. It should be fun, right? It should be a laugh. The point of a novelty character like Screaming Lord Such back in the day, it's kind of like it's the right relief, isn't it? It's ridiculing the political process, but at the same time, it's like it's reminding us that we can still have a sense of humor. But once you start actually really engaging in politics and you're a novelty candidate, you've sort of shat the bed at that point. You're no longer a novelty candidate. You're no longer funny. You're just a fucking Tory or Labour stooge with a funny costume on. And we can see this from this. He's written an article saying that the Odyssey, Nolan's Odyssey, is a triumph. And it's sort of, there's this sort of left-wing. I mean, listen, it bores the shit out of me to have to talk in terms of left and right wing, right? Because it is tedious, this sort of binary choice, don't you think? I think
we know that it doesn't make
get beyond this anyway, right?
Well, we know that it doesn't make a difference anyway. I mean, we know that a lot of the time when whoever it is, left or right, comes in, half the promises that they've made, they don't fulfill anyway. So we're old enough, unfortunately, to have seen this happen time and time again. And also we're learned enough to know that, of course, things don't stop with the government. And ultimately, whoever's in power is still a puppet to the layers of hierarchy that, of course, exist way above the government. So yes, it all seems this is why I don't vote, because it just seems like a pointless endeavor. So yeah, I mean, like I remember, like you, I remember the only thing I know about this guy before now is just seeing him stood in lineups, getting maybe 3 votes in any sort of by-election or something, local election. Other than that, I had no idea that he even has his own Instagram, he has his own YouTube, he posts loads of content, blah blah blah. So I didn't even know he bothered that much with it. But at the end of the day, it's all real performative, because he's only going to get he's not going to win. You know, he's obviously going to lose this election. So I mean,
yeah, I know this, but there's a moral victory that they're trying to get, isn't there? He's not going to win, but
he's trying to degrade.
He's going to have that kind of there's that horrible posture of moral superiority that left can have, isn't there? And when they unite, when you get Binface, who's, you know, he's like a sort of unknown quantity. It's like, okay, so the left have even got this intergalactic goofball, this comedian, John Harvey, dresses as a bin. Even he has sort of coalesced to the left and joined the establishment. So it just makes the ordinary Joe Normie just feel that he's surrounded completely by these people. And also, ultimately, he will just slink back into into the sort of consensual space, into the sort of the space of the political consensus, which the BBC, the Spectator, Christopher Nolan, Count Binface, Keir Starmer, they all represent this. But of course, we know that they're dangerous and toxic, evil people. But the most annoying thing is that they have this sort of moral high ground that they're the smart ones, they're the cultured ones, they're the caring ones, they're the funny ones, they're the ones who, you know, you can sort of will take a break from reality with and feel safe and feel that your delusional unreality social bubble construct is actually stable and safe and will look after you until your old age. And it's that culture war. Literally, it is that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is why you can't have a conversation with a lot of them. They're so ideologically attached to being the righteous ones. They think they're the sensible ones. They're coming with the right policies to further humanity, and, you know, all the things that involves, including, you know, takeover of countries, apparently. So yeah, it's just I used to get into these debates with people online, and then you just learn that there's no point. There's just no point at all, like debating any kind of politics with people, because they just don't want to have, at least people who are on the right, they will be willing to have a conversation about things. They may disagree with you, they may disagree vehemently with you, but they will at least talk to you about it without resorting, well, most of them anyway. More people on the right than on the left will talk to you without resorting quickly to sort of name calling and slander than people on the left. Because, you know, a lot of the time, let's just face it, a lot of the leftist ideas just aren't actually factually correct. And that is just reality. And when they're confronted with this, they have nowhere to go. And that's why they don't like getting into these conversations where you bring some factual information to the table, because it kind of like just deconstructs their very flimsily, carefully constructed view of reality, which is just like a sort of house of cards on a beach. It can easily be blown over by any kind of like little simple bit of logic. And it's just frustrating, because you think this is where we're at now. We just don't seem to be getting anywhere in terms of having actual conversations with people. especially people who are kind of like so kind of leftist. And to your point, which you were talking about Andrew Tate earlier, it is frustrating because you just know that there's going to be a massive amount of "I told you so" coming from the left side, and they're going to feel like
that's it,
empowered by it, and that they are on the right side of history and all this kind of stuff. Also, I just want to say good evening.
It's almost as if they've done this to sort of try and balance out the murder of Ann Widdecombe. It's like oh shit, we need bad guys from the right wing to sort of balance out the scales of who's the most evil. So the left have obviously taken a big knock with the murder of Ann Widdecombe. So they're desperately going to be looking around for right wing sort of bad guys and bogeymen that they can bring to the public's attention and stick them on the scales of morality and use them to balance out the Joshua. What was his name? Joshua Kelly, was it? The guy who murdered Ann Widdecombe allegedly. His name. Joshua. I did write it down somewhere. Joshua Kerry. Yeah, it is that. Yeah. So that's what I see this as. Anyway, I've looked at this review that he wrote, and basically the only sort of major point of it is basically this 6-word phrase: Christopher Nolan's Odyssey is a triumph. That's all he needs to say to show that he's on the side of the establishment. No doubt he'll end up with a TV show. Is he been on Have I Got News for You yet? I mean, obviously that'll be his next.
He likely will be, yeah.
Likely.
Like I say, he's got his own Insta. He's got like 200. What many followers has he got on Insta? Let me just have a little check because I saw he's got some mad amount of followers.
I remember when the internet was cool and people wouldn't have any time for crap like
288,000 followers.
I like the internet when the left and right, when there wasn't really a left and right. It was all basically truth stuff, wasn't it? Back in the early days of the internet, I mean, I don't mean the early days of the 60s when it was being developed, but like early 2000s, mid 2000s. Yeah. There wasn't much of a political divide between the left and right, was there? I mean, if you think about the David Icke forum and the other forums, there were left-wing characters involved. I mean, there was a lot of acrimonious debates with them, but at the same time they were in the same forums. They were enjoying the same conversations, and they were ostensibly connected to the same figures. I won't say gurus, but the same leaders of that movement, the truth movement. And there wasn't a left-right divide. I mean, we didn't make any point about, we didn't think we were right wing. We didn't make any point about being right wing. No one did. You just were following the truth. You were just trying to expose the reptilians and the PDF files running the government and all that, right? That's what you were looking for. You didn't give a fuck about Karl Marx or.
I just thought we were doing a bit of
all that. It all seems to be the same shit. Margaret Thatcher and Karl Marx, they're all just part of just different wings of the establishment trying to control and destroy society.
Well, you've got a Hydra there, and that's kind of an example of it, isn't it? They're all different heads of the Hydra.
Yeah. But if you look at this review, there's actually no content in it. There's hardly nothing about the qualitative analysis of the film. There's certainly no reference to some of the criticisms of the Odyssey, which are you aware of? The casting choices.
Yeah, but the thing is, apparently,
I won't labor that. I mean, whoever's listening to this probably knows all about that by now. But yeah,
I am reassured that by people who've seen it, apparently the more woke additions to the casting actually don't play that much of a big role. It's mainly sort of Matt Damon leading it, so that's maybe at least something. But the idea of casting that girl who transitioned. Elliot Page, who used to be quite cute when she was a woman.
I think she was fantastic in. I remember she was in Trailer Park Boys. She was Leahy's niece. She was awesome in that, and then she was in X-Men, and she was fantastic in X-Men. Was she in Was it Wolverine? Right? No, she was in X-Men 3, wasn't it? She was cool in that, and then God knows what happened. But I mean, I don't know what happened to her, but obviously some kind of some kind of trauma destabilized her brain and made her think she could be a man. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, she did like some fun interviews with Craig Ferguson when Craig used to do the Late Show. But you could see there was a couple of moments where Ferguson said to her about, "Oh, is there any boyfriends on the horizon?" or words to this effect. And you can see she kind of squirms a little bit because obviously it's not known at that time that she's basically essentially a lesbian, and then that kind of led into her transitioning to a man. So now she's a trans man who likes women. I don't know, man. I get a bit confused with how to categorize it all. So yeah, it's just kind of a shame. You see someone like you say who was doing.
Shame. Yeah,
They seemingly were doing so well in their work as a female, and were for the most degree she was quite, like a nice girl, charming, whatever. And now it's just sort of being ruined. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to share the this Lotus Eaters.
Just before you do that, True Spoon, just to say hello.
Then we'll have a tune.
Let's say hello to Where Dolls Dance. He's popped in. Good to see you, man. He's saying, "Evening, boys. Great final against France." I think there's like a wink there. That's how I'm coping. Ha ha. Yeah. That was our final, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. In fact, it was a much better match than the final. So in a sense, I'm glad we had that performance because I think that was that was like our final. It was like a moral final. And I think that cheered everyone up. That was wonderful. Especially as I never saw that coming. I thought, because the last time we were in the semi-final was in 92.
In the World Cup.
90, Italian 90, right?
90, yeah.
Yeah, and we didn't, we gave up. We didn't even try to fight. But this time, it was an absolute spectacle. It was fantastic. And I think that's given us some confidence. I mean, that kind of collective identity you get from football, which it's.
Well, it showed we could play. It showed we could play some attacking football. I mean, I think there was a combination of things as well because we got so much shit for playing, defensive against Argentina after being 1-0 up. So I think it was a combination of the pressure being off, a fresh set of players on the pitch, and also wanting to avenge this kind of like this sort of like grief we were getting for being too defensive. So they were like, well, okay, let's go out and be way more attacking and show people what we can do.
And France, they beat bloody France, and France have been the absolute bogeymen for years and years. So
I was not expecting.
Is that a proper victory against France? Then, if we technically we've beaten France, right?
Technically, yeah, but I mean,
not its knockout stages. It's sort of
it's a bit weird because let's say Mbappe was going for the golden boot with Messi, and it seems a bit weird that a team can get knocked out in the semi-final, but then have an extra game for someone like Mbappe to win the golden boot. Do you know what I mean? It just seems like he's had an extra game to do it, and he did score. So did he score twice? I think he scored twice, didn't he, Mbappe? But did he get a hat trick? I can't remember. Anyway, you know what I mean, though, because it gives him an extra game to get that golden boot, and it just seems a little bit unfair because he actually lost the semi-final, whereas Messi obviously won. And then, obviously, what happened.
Oh, fuck Messi. We no one likes Messi anymore, though, right?
Well, yeah.
Well, you've got that interesting observation you mentioned. He was going to be like 4'4" or something, wasn't he? But he had.
Yeah, we come to that in a sec.
Are we going to come to that in a sec?
I think I can bring it up now if you want.
Are you saving that for later on? Yeah.
Do you want me to bring it up now? I can bring it up now if you want. If you bear with me a sec.
Well, I'll just play this.
Yeah, just do this one first.
And then we'll go that, and then we'll put a tune on.
Supporting Christopher Nolan's Odyssey.
Yeah.
I did get one in the Eastern Daily Press, to be fair.
That's very good.
My hometown, they're backing me.
That's good.
Isn't it Freddie Sayers deciding all this?
I don't know. I mean, Michael Gove is the editor-in-chief.
Sayers seems to decide what goes in this and unheard.
Michael Gove, yeah. Apparently, Count Binface did like he's got a big YouTube channel. He's interviewing people like Alistair Campbell.
Yeah, he gets like a million views.
Campbell, the basically Tony Blair's hatchet man, and the guy, the sort of Iraq War and all of that kind of evil shit,
Yeah, Campbell
Why are these guys getting rehabilitated into this sort of cool cultural corner with hanging out with Binface and being cool and alternative? It's disgusting.
Well, he did a video with trigonometry, didn't he? I don't know if you saw that.
That too, exactly, yeah.
they kind of caught him out a little bit. They got him all flustered. I don't know if you saw the.
Oh, did they? All right.
Yeah, they were just asking him about sort of diversity and stuff like this, and he was getting kind of like he's getting himself all sort of tied up.
What are we doing?
It's just not funny.
It's not.
It was like when my cousin, my big Green Party supporting lefty cousin, told me about Camp Binface and Lord Buckethead when I was about 11. I thought, oh, that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
That was about the extent of it. That's how funny 11-year-old me found it.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
Well, I said in an article, democracy dies in tweenus. It's a writer for Have I Got News for You, ultimate centrist dad writer. The worst one was when he's interviewing Alistair Campbell or vice versa. And they're just two centrist dads just saying how great each other is with this incredibly flimsy conceit of a bin. Yeah. He was going, well, you're great, Alice. I mean, and you speak across the aisle to Rory. And I was like, if you don't have a bin, you're just
across the aisle to Rory Stewart.
It's completely absurd. Another centrist dad.
Rory Stewart is one of the creepiest looking things.
Oh, mate, honestly, this guy, he's tiny as well, isn't he?
He's absolutely foul. And he's got that weird lisping way of speaking, isn't he?
Yeah,
I think he sounds posh, but he just sounds like a degenerate, something like inbred for 15 generations, until it's a kind of mewling little fetus, like in the shape of a man.
You know, he's actually 53.
And he's also involved with MI5 or something. He's got extensive links to the security services. If that's our James Bond of the era, then I mean we're in big trouble.
And he's like 5'5", this guy. He's like a little boy, basically.
Absolutely foul.
No offense to sort of shorter guys, but you know.
But you can tell these people are evil, right? You know, it's like, God, the sting coming off them, you know, the
mannerisms. They're looking their mannerisms, they're looking their eyes, this kind of thing. Yeah, facial expression.
They're like puppets, aren't they? And you just wonder whose hand is up their arse.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're fraternizing with someone, I was just going to say, like, if you're fraternizing with people like Alistair Campbell, then come on.
It's absolutely mad, isn't it? And these are the good guys. It's absolutely balmy. The people involved in the death of a million Iraqis, they're the good guys, you know? Let's just scroll a bit with this, and then we'll have the thing about Messi, and then I'll put a tune on, then we'll take a little break.
It's justifying this as a bin, but you're just another establishment centrist dad telling us that, you know, who hates the people, but you're just wearing a bin. I'm like, that's incredibly flimsy. No pun intended.
You know what's really weird about it as well is that there's something about all of this that comes across kind of like a pledge of allegiance. So he says in this, Nolan is a master storyteller who's embarked on a colossal journey and pulled it off, which makes him nothing short of a cinema.
I suppose what is annoying as well is that they're just grifting. Like, they're just assuring their own careers, and they're showing to the establishment that they can be trusted to be the contestant on Have I Got News for You, or they can be trusted in front of a camera and be paid $5,000 an appearance, and they won't say anything that rocks the boat. And it's so self-serving.
Cinematic Odysseus. And then they've all endorsed him. So Kemi Badenoch, Andy Burnham, and Keir Starmer have all endorsed Camp Binface.
Can you believe
so there's this weird sort of like series of pledges.
Sorry?
Did they say Keir Starmer's endorsed Camp Binface? Fucking hell, Jesus Christ.
It's just revolting, isn't it? But it's unreal. He's just another character, you know, to add to this weird, unreal cultural play that's being performed. And we're both the audience and the victims of this. You know, these people are the ones that create these lies and distortions of reality and effectively, you know, but make us think it's for our own good, or they guilt trip us, or they shame us into. You know, most people, they won't leave the theatre. They'll watch TV. They'll watch these people. They'll vote Labour or Conservative, but they won't leave the theatre. Because once they leave the theatre, there's going to be that sort of the shame, you know, you're no longer part of us. You know, you're no longer what the BBC doesn't approve of your right-wing views. You know, that kind of passive shaming that is perpetually coming out of the TV and radio from the liberal media.
Listen, if the BBC doesn't approve, then that's cool. That's fine by me if the BBC doesn't approve of my views. I'm doing something all right, I think.
No, we're all for this. We're all for this. We're all for Camp Binface. We're all for the Odyssey. We're all for. It's like, Okay, but all of these things are shit.
Yeah.
Sorry for swearing. Like all of these things are,
So,
they're not funny in any way.
Absolute shit.
And here's another thing that's just not funny.
Yeah, so I never used to like old Carl Benjamin that much, you know. But obviously, with his literacy, his thing, yeah, his quality is top notch. But back in the day, he was one of these. He was what he started off by being a sort of skeptic community, weren't they? They were kind of against religion and against mysticism and against. They kind of fell against there was almost like a line of conflict between people in the truth movement and people like Carl Benjamin, who were seen as the rationalists, seen as the debunkers, seen as the skeptics. But with the years, we seem to have sort of coalesced somewhat on the same side. And he no longer, I mean, I think his wife is his wife a Christian, and he's interested.
I don't know much about the guy, to be honest with you.
Oh, well, he's been going ages, hasn't he? He's been going he's been going a long time. Yeah, so you get out that stuff about Messi, and I've got a tune I'll put after. And it's kind of related to, it's kind of like if Andrew Tate was, Andrew Tate was crossed with John Shuttleworth. I've got this tune by Sandwich Pan, this song by, it channels Andrew Tate, but through the mouth of John Shuttleworth. So it's a piece of throwaway fluff, but it's kind of amusing. Perhaps it might.
I think I'm having the same problem. I think I'm having the same problem that you were having before.
Yeah.
Well, how did you resolve that?
Yeah. So what I did is I clicked. You see the new scenes on the side?
Yeah.
You can't click the one that has the two characters. You have to click on the other one. You know, you can see that. Yeah. So click on scene 104. Yeah, that should open the option to share the screen, right?
104. I can't see a 104.
New scene 104. Yeah. No, is it 184? It's 184, bro.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's it.
This looks like it's good. Fucking hell, where is it now? Hang on a sec. I think this is it.
On the left screen, isn't it, bro?
Yeah, I was trying to find it. I've got loads of tabs open, so it's.
Oh, here we go then. Yeah. That's always.
Yeah. So basically, so there's conspiracy surrounding this as to for what reason, but it is true that Messi. Look, he's saying here, Messi appears to be created in a science lab by Barcelona with the help of other elites. Now, I'm not trying to say that, but what is actually true is he did have his legs injected with human growth hormone since the age of 11 after he moved to Barcelona, because his projected height was only 4'7" max. So Barcelona stepped in. Now this guy's saying to create the perfect player. It's not what they did. They just wanted him to be kind of able to play against adults. So they were injecting him until he reached about 5'7", which is quite
why?
Big
why invest? Why? What was so special about him anyway as a kid?
Well, they must
why
have
would you invest all that money in a short?
Have you ever heard of the Lionel Messi story?
Yeah.
So,
okay, you're gonna play that, yeah?
Let me just. This is way loud on my speakers.
How did Messi go from 4'7" to 5'7"?
When Lionel Messi was a child, doctors discovered he had a rare growth hormone deficiency. Without treatment, he would remain much smaller than other kids his age.
To grow taller, he stuck needles into his thighs every day, and he did it for a full 10 years.
Lovely bit of music while Messi draws there.
Lionel Messi, y esta es mi historia.
There he is there.
I mean, what does his parents do?
Cuando tenía 11 años se me ocurrió un problema de hormonas de crecimiento.
Which parents went along with it, do you know what I mean? Because it's like,
why would you do that? Why would you invest all that money into? And why don't you just put growth hormones in all the kids? You know, if you've got hormones, if you got growth hormones to throw around, you might as well just give it to all of them.
I mean, I think they knew from a young age Messi was going to be a special talent, but they saw potential problems with his height, obviously. So, but yeah, to your point, it's true. Like, why don't they do that with more people? I mean, there's not many Messis, and you know, why would the parents do that? Well, you know, look what's happened with Messi. He's worth a lot of money. So
he's some kind of football messiah or something, you know.
Well, a lot of people
showing him the golden age of football.
I personally don't. Everyone thinks he's the GOAT. It's Messi versus Ronaldo, isn't it? For the GOAT, they say. I don't agree.
Yeah,
with
it's probably Messi, isn't it? Yeah.
It's Messi's better than Ronaldo, but for me, Maradona's the GOAT. But there we go. But it's a bit of recency bias with people. I'll just play the end of this. I don't even know what this video is. It's just him explaining, basically.
It's true though. You know, when you played football at school as a kid, the tiny kids were always the short guys were always fucking super skillful.
Yeah, it's because that low center of gravity, isn't it? They can kind of move around a bit quicker.
I don't know, maybe, yeah. There was a couple of short kids, and they were always the fucking masters. There was always like tightening you up, but they were smaller, and I don't know if it's because they're small, they had to work extra hard on skills, or as you say, because they're nearer the ground, nearer the ball. I don't know.
Yeah, it's often put down in football chat. It's often put down to being like better center of gravity sort of thing.
Oh, okay, fair play.
It's not that many, but then there's exceptions to the rule. You got someone like Ibrahimovic, who's a great player. Even Ronaldo himself he's like 5'11" or something, isn't he? Like, so I mean, but yeah, a lot of the more techie players. Even if I think about Arsenal back in the days, like our best players, apart from maybe sort of your Bergkamps and Henrys, you know, our most skillful players, like I've always been quite small, like Fabregas.
They're never tall, are they? You never see someone. You never imagine Peter Crouch.
Yeah, it's rare.
Particularly agile on the ball. I mean, obviously he's brilliant, but he was good back in the day. But he was never. Yeah, he did all right, but he wasn't necessarily. He had a good touch and a good head, but perhaps he wasn't the most finesse and skillful player, right? It was always a bit of a. It was like watching a camel on roller skates when you 100%. Saw Peter Crouch, right back in the day.
He scored some mad goals. Like when he played for Stoke, he scored an overhead kick, which only really he could do because of his height.
Yeah.
So every now and then he'd just come up with some just unbelievable bit of skill.
Absolutely, he's mad header. You know, mad headers, amazing.
Yeah, man. I mean, he was what 6'6" or something, 6'7".
Gosh, yeah.
It's kind of mad. But yeah, like Grok says here, you know, it's a twisted conspiracy that they did it to make the perfect player. That what you have to understand is like by 11 years old, someone like that, the talent is already there. That's why he went to Barcelona in the first place. You know, Barcelona.
11.
Yeah, I mean, Barcelona wouldn't have signed an 11-year-old who wasn't like top quality already. But obviously they saw his height and they were like, yeah, he's just going to get pushed off the ball with grown men. If he's only 4'7", obviously he's like a dwarf. So that's the only reason they did it. How often this is done, I doubt he's the only player. I don't have evidence of this, but I very much doubt he's the only player who gets stuff like this. But yeah, like Grok's saying, the HGH was legitimately prescribed treatment to fix a medical condition. So, and he grew an inch, you know, from 11 onwards, he managed to grow. Sorry, not an inch, a foot. Sorry, a foot.
But then at 11, I mean, there's no 4'7" at 11. I think I was probably about the same. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't particularly tall, but there's no way of knowing either though. 11, because
interesting, man. I didn't know
boys
that.
have that growth spurt, don't they? Even at 15, 16, once women and girls have stopped growing, boys still growing, aren't they?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I was kind of short, you know, in school, but then I kind of grew up finally, and I achieved a respectable height, you know.
I was kind of
afraid that I wouldn't be short, so I unfortunately God answered her prayers. But yeah,
really.
Yeah. But it's fun when kids at school, like boys, you know, you were dead small for a while, for ages and ages. You were tiny, and the girls were all taller than you and kicking you and bullying you, right? And they're suddenly like at 14 or 15, you massive growth spurt, and a lot of people some of the kids are already men by then, right?
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we used to, I mean, it was bad, but there was a kid at school who used to get bullied quite a lot. And he was like this short ginger guy. And he left our school at about 13, 14, something like that. Maybe even younger, actually, sorry. Maybe about 11 or 12. And we didn't see him. And like about 6 years later, we saw him at a college kind of gathering that they were having in Skipton, where I went to school, up north, and this guy had grown. This ginger
What is that
kid.
famous for?
Markets.
Mother Shipton's Cave. It's not the same place, is it?
Skipton has a famous castle. It has a famous market, sheep market, and Skipton means sheep town originally. But yeah, this ginger kid who used to be really short, who people used to bully all the time, suddenly we all saw him again, and he was about 6'2" and built like a brick shithouse. And everyone was like, funnily enough, everyone was really nice to him. So it's funny how it happens, isn't it? You know.
Okay, so yeah, we got a comment from Where Dolls Dance, Doll's House. He's Screaming Lord Such seemed okay. Yeah, he was a laugh, wasn't he? I remember Screaming Lord Such, yeah.
Is he still alive, Screaming Lord Such?
I don't know. He looked like a dart player, didn't he? He probably didn't have a very long life expectancy.
Yeah, he died in 1999. There you go, yeah. Christ, I thought it was a bit sooner than that, but more recent than that, but there you go.
All right, I'm just going to play this new track from Sandwich Pan. Like I said, it's Andrew Tate channeled by John Shuttleworth. And it's just a bit of fun and a bit of satire. Don't take it seriously, please. That's about 2-minute track, so we'll be back in 2 minutes, yeah?
All right, okay, no worries.
Okay, let's mute up.
Sandwich school. I sent me little girls to sandwich school, so they can learn to make sandwiches exactly the way that their future husbands will like it. Sandwich school. I sent me little girls to sandwich school, so they can learn to make sandwiches exactly the way that their future husbands will like them. At sandwich school, they will learn to say, would you like a sandwich, darling? At sandwich school, they're going to learn to make it exactly the way that he likes it. He likes it. He likes it. Sandwich school. I sent me little girls to sandwich school, so they can learn to make sandwiches exactly the way that their future husbands like them. Okay, that was Sandwich School by Sandwich Pound. Did you like that, Future Shock?
Oh Christ, that was quick. 2 minutes. I went to the bathroom. I only just got
2
back.
minutes, bro. Yeah. Oh well. So you missed out on the.
I could kind of hear it from the bathroom. But not quite well.
Misogynistic joys of Sandwich School. Yeah, it's quite
misogynistic.
Fun, mate. You know, it's just a bit of a laugh. That's all it is, right?
Oh, so Screaming Lord Such committed suicide. I didn't realise that.
Jeepers, no.
He did.
Oh, did you have to tell me that?
I mean, look, you know, we like the truth here, isn't it? So
it's just a minute, mate. That doesn't seem to be the right career move for a guy like
that. Yeah,
he
was found hanged in his mother's home.
How good is it?
Yeah, 58 as well. So, you know, I mean, apparently he was battling with depression and bipolar disorder.
Well, often you find a lot of these lunatics out there. Yeah, maybe he literally was.
You're right about this.
Maybe he was a cry for help. Maybe he wasn't being satirical or funny. He was actually saying, "I'm literally insane. Please help me."
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? I mean, I've just noticed this picture you put up. You're right about it. Doesn't look anything like him, does it?
Fucking weird. This is.
It's two completely
This is
different.
fucking weird. This whole business with Ann
But
Widdecombe.
what kind of time frame is this supposed to be? Because obviously he's got a full-on beard and long hair. I mean,
as to that, yeah.
Like if
is he hanging out like Count Binface there in his bin form?
We caught him out, didn't we? It was scheming.
Binno, yeah.
But look at the hair, right? So I mean, obviously the hair's different, but what
it's
I'm
like
saying
a different
is,
person.
If you look at the guy's hairline on the left, even if he was to grow his hair long and straighten it, it's not the same hairline.
Fucking bullshit, man, isn't it? It's insane bullshit. This isn't the same person.
So is that?
Apparently, this is the photo. This is supposed to be the same person. They're just gaslighting us. And this isn't even the end of it. There's even a third picture, which looks like another person completely, and it's the court photograph, the court drawing.
All right.
So yeah, so this is bullshit. This is weird.
But the one on the left, okay, so the one on the right is supposed to be him at work, I think, isn't it? So the one at the left is that supposed to be recent? I mean, what are they saying about that on the left? Is that like a recent photo?
I can't tell you that much. I haven't studied the forensics of this. I just think that isn't the same person.
No.
As for the rest of it, I don't know. I think that guy's curly-haired, right?
Yeah,
that guy isn't. That guy's fat, and this guy isn't fat. This guy's got a beard.
He's a little bit fat. I've seen the full length.
This guy wears glasses. That one doesn't wear glasses. It's like they couldn't be more dissimilar. They're completely two different people. This is similar to what happened with the other fucking one. That assassination of Joe Cox. Do you remember that?
I remember it, but I don't remember there being some picture issues.
No, the guy. The gentleman who was ultimately imprisoned looks nothing like the person. They look nothing like. He had like a prominent facial. The guy, not Thomas Mayer. Was it Thomas Mayer, or am I thinking of something completely different? It was Mayer. It was him. It was Thomas Mayer. It looks nothing like the guy who is apparently in prison now serving time for the murder of Joe Cox. It's the same thing, but it's what I was talking about the other week with last week, establishment murderers for hire, where if you remember, the serial killer Hutchinson, known as the Fox, who for some reason, the name of a prominent whistleblower who spoke in Parliament about crimes against children by the establishment, his name suddenly appeared on a serial killer's hit list. And all of this arresting people and then releasing them initially, not saying they had anything to do with politics, with any political motives. There's something very fucking dodgy. I don't even know if I wouldn't even be sure that this guy even did it, because there's something is very wrong about this. He could be a patsy. Let me just try and find, if I can, the third character. This is the guy who's apparently in court now. And just bear with me a sec. Hopefully that'll work. Not many. I don't think anyone's made any videos about this weirdness. How it looks like a totally different thing. Oh, okay. What's this? Is that sharing?
The close-up. Yeah.
Can you see this fat guy, right?
Yeah, the close-up. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the guy apparently doing an Easter egg thing for charity. I just don't know how that. Okay, well, that's. This is another guy. This is apparently the gentleman who is the same man. He's in court defending him. I just what do you say, bro?
Well, when I think back,
they're not even trying. A haircut can make you look younger, but it doesn't change you completely to another race.
Well, yeah, that's a point. But yeah, I mean, when I saw wasn't there a picture that came out with him allegedly anyway, with the killer getting into a car the day of the killing, and he had like a hammer or something that he was holding or was in his pocket. I don't remember that being long haired. So I don't know. This is the thing. Like, I would like to know what time, like, what is the date stamp for these photos? Obviously, the last one, the drawing, is the recent one. But like, are these photos years apart? Like, what, you know, what's this extra spokes thing?
Claiming that this is an AI processed image, but
that's
but yeah, but all the same, naked guy is the one from Rotherham. Okay, I know his name. He's Gardner's brother.
Yeah,
the guy is from Rotherham, isn't he?
That's from Ellie 5473630.
Oh yeah.
That looks like it's
legit, right? Yeah.
You got to be like on, you know, got to be so careful with these bloody things, isn't it?
Literally a robot. Yeah.
What was it? 5473. I'm just going to look it up now. I'm literally on.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at this. This person, that Ellie person, has 6,000 followers. Let's have a look at based in the United Kingdom. I don't know. When I see something with so many numbers after it, I kind of think, well, what human actually puts their name as that? Do you know what I mean? It's like, and the whole thing is just reposts. There's no actual.
Where are they based in Nigeria or something?
No, they are based in UK allegedly, but it's just all reposts. So you can make a bot that just reposts.
Yeah.
And there's literally, I'm down to God knows how many days now. It's all reposts. So yeah, a bit of a dodgy one that.
Okay, so
now I think it's high time in this country we had like a national debate regarding far left.
Have you heard of this guy?
These people are quite literally what they accuse us on the right.
He's a pretty good guy. He's pretty cool. He used to sort of be connected with Reverend Simon Sideways. I don't know if you've heard of that guy.
No.
But yeah, it's sort of the right wing, but not organized in any way. Just normal people. This guy's an ex-serviceman. Simon Evans, his name, was an ex-bouncer and bits and pieces. Used to be a bodyguard for Tommy Robinson, but he's still a good guy. And they have, I mean, this guy's got loads of subs now, but he's doing quite well. But I mean, he started off quite humbly at the beginning. I mean, he's still obviously humble, but he's just been quite successful with it.
They are hateful, they are intolerant, and evidently it doesn't take much to trigger them into causing violence and even murder. There are gullible leftist idiots out there being radicalized, being influenced by left-wing bias, mainstream media and publications into seeing people like Ann Widdecombe, people like me and others on the other side of the political divide as something less than human who don't deserve to live. And they will commit horrendous acts like what happened to Ann Widdecombe. Utterly horrendous. I mean, the details are even worse than I feared. The CPS has now released more information about the murder on Wednesday, the 8th of July. Ann Widdecombe, 78 years old, eating her lunch in her own home, like any other normal pensioner, when Joshua Kerry allegedly just walked through the front door, no break-in, no struggle at the entrance he was in. Then in a frenzy that lasted just 2 minutes, he allegedly hit her on the head with a hammer.
This guy's got 92,000 views 12 hours ago. He's doing really well.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He's like doing better than Ben Shapiro and all those kind of people, you know?
Oh, Ben Shapiro, a lot of that place is tanking now anyway.
Yeah, I know, but Ben Shapiro's own channel, people forget he's still got his own channel.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. There's a strong rumor that, what does he call it? It's Ben Shapiro's show, isn't it? Is that what
but he was part of, what is it, 20th Century, what is it, 20th Century Wire? Is that what they
Oh, Daily Wire, isn't it?
Daily Wire.
Yeah, no, so apparently, I don't know how true this is, but apparently it's been tanking so much they've been like paying for views on YouTube.
Yeah,
they're paying for like bots to comment positively in the comments, and because you can buy views, you can buy like views, but you know the algorithm can pick it up, sort of thing. But yeah, anyway, sorry, go on.
Okay, yeah, just see the end of this guy.
21 times. Tipped her out of a chair like a sack of rubbish, took her wallet and drove off. 21 hammer blows, 2 minutes while she was having lunch. Now. Imagine if this murder had been caught on camera.
Hang on, what's going on? Why is that happening?
Changing, and that's what should have every decent person's alarm bells ringing. Why did they first claim she simply fell Why the rush?
Oh, is
to
that
ban-
right? That they initially claimed it
Yeah.
was she'd just fallen. Jeepers.
I know.
It's
no.
disgraceful, isn't it? It's a cover-up. This is what you do when you're doing a cover-up. The story changes. You lie because you're covering something is wrong here. They're covering up, and whether this guy Joshua Kelly even did it, whether, as I suspect, that it's some establishment hand in this, the same establishment that kills whistleblowers. That's the issue. But why would they be so desperate to lie? Why do you need to? What do you need to lie for? I mean, something ain't right. The fact that there was like a catalog or a carousel of potential suspects that were released ultimately, I don't know. It's really suspicious. It's really weird.
Well, when they start changing the story in such ways, I mean, I know stories can change. Look, obviously, I know that, you can investigate things can change, but when they're so quick to come out with stuff, the botched robbery straight away, it was a botched robbery,
They're literally, that's literally a this managed deception. It's a production. They're producing something. They're producing a deception. They're trying to sell you an idea because there's something that you can't know. That's the only reason they would lie, because there's something they need to hide.
100%, yeah.
A tragic accident. Why arrest the delivery man, the wrong man, and then release him? And why were the police and their spokespeople so quick to state categorically that it was, and I quote, not terror-related or politically motivated, unquote, before they'd even properly investigated? Something does not add up about the response of the police in this case. The whole thing stinks. They focused immediately on the suspect being white, as if ethnicity was the only detail that mattered, while dismissing any political angle out of hand. Then counter-terrorism suddenly takes over. Suddenly, it's a targeted attack. Funny how the narrative shifts once the wrong narrative becomes impossible to maintain. This was a targeted execution of a Reform UK immigration spokeswoman, a woman who'd spent decades saying what millions of ordinary Brits were thinking. Enough is enough. An elderly lady slaughtered at her own kitchen table for daring to be an outspoken Christian conservative, and the authorities spent days gaslighting the public. Meanwhile, many on the left have been celebrating. One less bigot. Good riddance.
Okay, so
kind of gentler politics, they tell us, isn't it? The left, that's what they say, kind of gentler politics. I was going to say, actually, where Dolls just put in no hand under the sweet jar. Do you want to just go back to the picture of him with the sweet jar, where you can see the full length one?
Can
you?
Yeah, because not really, because I can. I can, but I'll just have to.
Curious to see
open it. I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, the hand of the sweet jar thing. Okay, hang on.
Let's have a little look just to see what that looks like.
No, that's not it, is it? Wait a minute. Yeah, hang on. I don't know about that. I've got the picture, but I'm not sure. But it's worth looking at. Okay, bear with.
Yeah, 21 times, man. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times do you need to hit an elderly lady? I mean, I'm not, Actually, where I work,
I'm so angry with Ann Widdecombe, you need to hear it. That's just bonkers, mate. I mean, I just, like I say, I don't even know if the guy who's with any one of the three faces of the person who they're saying is the same person. Where it's almost as if by deliberately confusing you about the identity of the person initially in the reports of what happened, and also with these three different pictures of what ostensibly what they're trying to say is the same. It's almost as if you're just so confused, you just give up seeking the truth, and you just, that's probably exactly how it works.
I kind of see what he means, but it's such a big jar. It's a big jar. His hand could be sort of at the back of it.
Okay.
You can see just on the right there of the jar towards the bottom, you can see a little fleshy bit. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see the little finger there popping.
That's maybe a little finger there.
Fair enough. Okay, good point. I mean, thanks for bringing that up with Dollars Dance. We're always looking out for the AI. In fact, that reminds me of a bit. I'm gonna do this bit now. It's like a new bit in the show. and I encourage you, Future Shock, to also get involved. The bit is going to be called "Is it real or AI?"
Oh, interesting.
I'm gonna play a video that I found, and the challenge is to tell me whether or not you think this is real.
Okay.
And we'll play it. We could potentially do it as a competition. The person who manages to play something and tricks the other person into believing it's real or fake, and there's a sort of symbolic prize of maybe a pint of beer or coffee or something like that. But yeah, I'm just trying to get this up now, actually, because yeah, just bear with a sec.
No
do you want to talk for a minute for us? Because I can't.
The thing is, if I do this, because I do a lot of trying to be kind of like cinematic with AI. You just know that anything I'm going to put up is going to be AI, even if I do it perfectly.
I didn't make this. I just sort of found it then for that.
So what we could do then is, okay, that's an idea then. So if the rule is that neither of us can make it, it's just we're choosing something.
Yeah, yeah. It's just a random video we've found, but it's getting so hard to tell. Okay, do you want to watch this and tell me if you think it's real or AI?
I think this is AI already, but go on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, clearly AI. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, clearly AI. I tell you what was good about this is the way that the camera sort of pans as if it's a mobile phone. You know, it's.
They just put it in. You can see that looks like AI.
All right, that's enough of that.
It's a little too silly. I mean,
real or AI? What do you think?
I know there's some crazy people in Croydon, but that's definitely AI. If you watch the guy come down the slide as well, the orange slide, he kind of stands up.
What about the guy coming down the slide?
He'll come down the slide in a sec.
The slide physics aren't
the orange
correct.
one. Yeah, just let it
play.
play.
Yeah.
And also, you're not going to have, as crazy as some of these people are in these kind of gangs, they're not going to do this. It's just not going to happen.
There is no water park in Croydon.
Oh,
it's funny. It's sort of funny though. Water is disgusting though. Imagine if it's a water park, the water was that dirty.
Yeah, that's pretty grim.
Gosh.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if this was but
all right, well that's it. Yeah, okay.
I mean, that's weird. Look at that there. Look at that on the left at the bottom. Like, what is that?
Yeah, there's a lot. When you look closely, you often find they've got no faces or something. When you pause on the frame, they have often got no faces, have they? Or they're kind of, they only look. Is it because the the sort of speed of the thing that creates that kind of reality? But when you pause on it, it all breaks down.
Anyway,
I thought that was pretty stupid and funny, so I just thought I'd share that. Yeah.
What do the comments say? Are there people fooled
I don't
by
know.
it?
I just closed it, bro. You're too late. I'm sorry. I
literally said it before, but you ignored me, and I had to say it a second time.
I closed. No, mate, I didn't. Yeah.
God,
all right, maybe I did. I didn't ignore you. I just didn't hear you, but I closed it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, never mind. So yeah, that's all weird. So I've got a few more bits to go through. So have you got any bits?
So I was just looking, because obviously time is ticking. I was just going to look at what would be the best one from mine. I know you've got a couple to do. Which one were you going to do? We might just talk about the Ethiopian one at some point.
I've got two bits. I've got a thing about Andrew Gold and what I consider to be fearmongery in the right sort of the common sense sphere, or the right, whatever. What do we call it? I mean,
what in terms of what? Sorry,
what is this thing that I used to consider it the truth movement, but it's sort of become divided on political lines, hasn't it? So you just don't. The thing is, weirdly, like the truth movement would do things like investigate. Like I wrote articles about, Freemasonic abuse of minors and things like that, and how they mind control children, and that kind of it kind of came into the right wing because of some of the comments by many of people like David Icke, who was doing this to us. And that kind of analysis of this conspiracy kind of lended itself to a right-wing perspective. But the thing is whenever you investigate the left, they seem to be the ones doing things like this kind of, abusing minors and things like that. It almost seems to be always these people, Comet Ping Pong, and those people exposed following the Charlottesville, that time of discontent, the Black Lives Matter riots. Whereas any time,
look at the school shootings as well.
These lefties, these Antifa, they're always involved in PDF files and stuff like that, weren't they? They always had this dirt on them.
Well, school shootings as well. I mean, as much as the left in America want to sort of talk about gun control and stuff like that, is predominantly their supporters who are, using guns to shoot at schools a lot of the time. If you look into the history of these people, they do get like right-wing agitators as well, but like a lot of the time they look into it and they look at their computers and whatnot, and they're following left-wing people online. There was a Bernie Sanders one, wasn't there?
Well, they're the ones who, if they don't like you, they spam your WhatsApp group or Telegram group with CP, don't they? This is what the left would. I mean, I've not seen it.
Blue Sky. Look at Blue Sky.
I've heard that's what they do, right?
Blue Sky, within hours, literally hours, not even one day, not even 24 hours of Blue Sky being up, it already had child images on it. And it become infamous within days.
It's just literally degenerates. It's just literally it's just absolute, but why they do it? Well, that's the question, because I wrote this article about trying to explain why the left wing are the way they are, why they do that virtual signaling, why they blame other people, why they persecute vociferously with shaming tactics. Is because they're the ones who would know, they know they're bad inside, but in order to dissuade the guilt, they externalize their own darkness onto other people. That's called projecting your shadow. It's a Jungian thing. So that's shadow projection is what these left-wing people do. So when they say they hate the right, they hate Nigel Farage, it's really, and they see him as the most evil thing, it's really their own evil that they're trying to displace from themselves. It's really their own sense of their own evil. And then the knowledge of their true nature.
When you say to them stuff like, let's say, for example, they're going on about Farage or someone else on the right, a popular figure on the right, when you say to them, okay, well, you're calling him racist, what's the most racist thing he said? And they can't even, they fumble around and they kind of say some vagaries about immigration, but they can never actually point to something that is actually objectively racist. It's just something they disagree with, and then therefore you are a racist or a Nazi, etc. And it was this whole thing that cropped up a few years ago about punch a Nazi. And it's like, cool. Yeah, punch a Nazi, that's cool. I kind of agree that you should punch actual Nazis. But the thing is, your definition of a Nazi is just someone who disagrees with you. Somebody who doesn't want open borders is a Nazi in your eyes. And then that's why it's a problematic thing to say, because people would push back against it, punch a Nazi, and they would go, oh, well, what, you're supporting Nazis? It's like, well, no, we just don't agree that you understand what a Nazi is. That's the problem. And they just use it to justify their violence.
Oh, right. Yeah. So I'm just going to play a bit of this. Is this Andrew Gold? This is Andrew Gold. That's not Andrew Gold, but he's interviewing this guy. This is called David Betts.
Sorry. Yeah. I didn't actually know who he was. I just looked him up quickly as a journalist. So
he's quite big. I mean, he's like a, I mean, I think I'd call him a gatekeeper. He's a gatekeeper. He's a Jewish gentleman, but he's like trigonometry. He's that kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like he's a gatekeeper of the right. He's making sure that that we're right, but we're not too right. That, we don't. So he has people like this on. David Betts. This is a Jewish gentleman. He works for an organization called the Foreign Policy Research Institute, and that was founded by a Jewish gentleman called Robert Strauss Huppe. So this is they basically engage in war studies. At the moment they're engaged against analysis against the war with Russia. That seems to be what they're mostly interested in. I'm just going to play this a little bit. My critique of this guy is he's scaremongering, and it's a little bit like, if you remember that movie, I'm writing a review about it, Citizen Vigilante. You remember that movie, the kind of trying to incite the whites to defend their communities against, right? You remember, yeah?
That was the Clay.
Did you see it? You didn't watch it, did you?
In the end, I didn't watch it. No, I need to watch many movies. But yeah.
So what this is, it's agitprop. It's agitation propaganda. It's trying to get people riled up. It's just what the Southern Property Law Center and those kind of organizations want. They want the right-wing bogeyman. They want the right to act up. So then then it's no longer, then we no longer have the moral high ground. And then they can obviously clamp down further, like they did in America on 6th of January. You remember that, right? When they just came out,
luring them into
thousands of people locking them up with no process. Remember that?
Yeah, I mean, look, the police were actively encouraging that, basically.
Okay, I'm just going to play this for a bit and tell me what you think. Okay, about
very much worse, and hopefully after they will get better. But you are going to have to go through a period of very much worse before you get there.
Do you envision many deaths?
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't be speaking if I didn't.
Hundreds of thousands?
I don't want to be drawn. I'd rather present a range.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Caller Autopsy. I've got a fascinating discussion for you today. And I have to say, even if this interview is a little older, it's one that's still generating debate because the questions it raises haven't gone away. Professor David Betts, a Civil War expert, sits down with the Daily Heretic to make an extraordinarily grim prediction about the future of the UK and Western Europe. He argues that political leaders have already missed the opportunity to peacefully resolve growing social tensions and that the focus should now be on limiting the damage rather than preventing it altogether. Whether you think his assessment is persuasive or wildly pessimistic, these are serious claims that deserve careful scrutiny, not because fear should drive politics, but because predictions this consequential should always be examined against evidence and challenged where necessary. We're going to break down what Professor Betts is arguing, where his reasoning comes from, and what it could mean if he's right or if...
Okay, what happened now? Let's just cut off. What's going on?
He's wrong. If you enjoy political analysis that digs beneath the headlines, and instead of settling for easy talking points, hit that like button, subscribe to Caller Autopsy, and let's get straight into it.
Especially with your implication that once one domino falls, it feels like the whole of Europe will be at some kind of civil war. It's not going to be easy to find somewhere to go.
I struggle to see how, once it kicks off anywhere in Western Europe, that it won't spread elsewhere. It's just, we've spent the last 50 years creating a borderless Europe.
What's going on? Does it keep
I don't know.
So
It keeps
it's going to be hard to contain the forces that will be generated as society begins actively to peel itself apart. You will have people moving, as I said, and you'll have repercussions that will propagate from there. Currently, I think, for example, it might well be that things kick off in Ireland, ironically enough. But I mean, people I think are increasingly at a boiling point there. One can see from the British perspective how pretty easily that could
transmit here.
That could transmit here. Although effectively we're talking about...
What do you think about the way he's speaking? I mean, what's your analysis of this guy?
Well, lots of vagaries and nothing specific.
Yeah.
Well, there's not much specific. I mean, he says envision many deaths at the beginning there. Doesn't say how. He struggles to answer when quizzed about the number of deaths. He talks about, like, once it kicks off in Western Europe, it will spread elsewhere. But what do you mean? What do you mean by kick off? Like, where in West? Like, what do you mean by that? It's kind of like a bit vague. It's like when I debate climate change alarmists, like, they want to fearmonger, but they can't tell you, like, rough ideas of when there'll be an apocalypse or whatever. So he's not coming with enough specifics for me. I need to know. I could sit there and say this. Do you know what I mean?
He's selling an idea,
Maybe
but he's not even sure of his facts. He's
exactly
hesitant.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
he's ambiguous. He's not sure, but he's trying to sell fear, and he's trying to sell the idea of a civil war in the UK, which is obviously not what anyone wants. Certainly not in our interests, I don't think.
Nope.
But this is it. He works for this organization called the Foreign Policy Research Institute, and it's an example of, let's just say, Jewish gentlemen who are trying to instigate or promote the idea of civil war and ethnic conflict, where at the same time, the irony is that I point this out about that movie Citizen Vigilante. That's produced by, as we pointed out last time, by a Jewish gentleman who works extensively to promote Israel in Canada and works in various NGOs. But at the same time, it's people like George Soros and Barbara Lerner-Specter who openly support this mass immigration, who are funding it and are doing all of the things that are causing all the problems in the UK and Europe right now. They're the ones doing these things. They admit to it. Did you ever see that Barbara Lerner-Specter video?
No, I'm not familiar with it.
Oh, you don't know what I'm on about? Oh, okay. Well, I'll just bring that up. Do you want to just fill for a sec while I bring that up? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, I mean, I could sit there and just sort of say lots of vagaries, like, well, I think it's going to kick off if it gets worse. You know, I said something similar last week. I was saying about how once the sort of effects, the negative effects of immigration, the sort of like on the street effects of it, i.e. increased crime and all that kind of stuff, gets to the posher areas in the UK, you might see some more policy change. You might see like more of a sort of effort put into pushing back on it. Until then, I don't think there's going to be that much pushback beyond what, you know, they've done with trying to reduce the boats coming in. But even that's not really going well. And every time one of the boats gets in anyway, the bloody they're given hotels. So it's craziness. Have I seen this? I might have seen this.
Everyone's seen this, I think.
Yeah, I think I have seen this. Yeah.
Okay. Is it? This is not sharing, is it? Is it? Oh,
yeah,
it is. You've seen it. Oh, fine. Okay. So I've just managed to. I usually put all my tabs on one Brave window, and I've got two open, two different windows, which is confusing the shit out of me. But it seems to be okay. I'll just play this lady.
I think there's a resurgence of anti-Semitism because at this point in time, Europe has not yet learned how to be multicultural. And I think we're going to be part of the throes of that transformation, which must take place. Europe is not going to be the monolithic.
I mean, who says, why does it have to take place? Why does Europe have to be multicultural? It won't survive. What does that even mean?
I mean, I would argue that it is. Like, we are doing.
It won't economically survive because these are the people, these are the bankers, these are the people who, you know, who loan the money, allow the governments to spend money. These are the people who have the purse strings and have always had the purse strings on the government spending. So the government's allowed to spend money as long as they do what the Bank of England and what the bankers, what their agenda is. This is why Liz Truss lost her job and why the economy collapsed, because she tried to fight the Bank of England, and because the Bank of England's policy is that mass immigration is good for the economy. That's what they believe. And she tried, bless her, she tried to fight that. She tried to defeat the Bank of England. And of course, the Bank of England flexed its muscles and collapsed the economy. And Conservatives will never try that again now, because they realize if you actually do try and give the people what they want, the leader they want, like Liz Truss was that person, they will just collapse the economy completely and leave you, in this state of, almost hyperinflation we've got now.
And look, like this is one of the reasons, one of the things tying in with this as well, just quickly, is like the way we've talked in the past about how the media is sort of like framing things and this sort of stuff. It's like they've seen the riots that happened relatively recently. They've seen what people can potentially get up to. And, the Bank of England can kind of do whatever it wants to people like Liz Truss and all that. But once the streets start to get naughty, I mean, then that's a different problem entirely. Do you know what I mean? And this is kind of like to the guy's point, who was, I forget his name, sorry, who was on the last video. That's where you could start to see that's where his point is kind of more sort of like salient and accurate. Because I do foresee at some point in the future, the more this stuff happens in more areas, then inevitably you're just going to get a pushback from the people in those areas. So he could probably be right.
With that, as long as this establishment, these same people who are bringing these migrants here and giving them every opportunity, as long as the courts are siding with them, the judges are protecting them, the media is gaslighting us, as long as the BBC is continuing to shame anyone who disagrees with masculinity, you're fighting against Goliath. The little guy, the little man on the street, the little guy who's had enough of this, and he's out with his family or whatever. He's got no chance because everything is against him. So what do you do? What do you do? How do you win when the whole apparatus of the country around you, even your neighbors, even are turning against you? Because they say you're racist for caring about children safety on the streets or women's safety, and you're the racist for this. You're the bad guy. That's the problem. You can't win. Almost. It's like, what do you do? I mean.
Just as a little side note to this, actually, I just wanted to mention something because we're talking about being accused of being racist, all that kind of stuff. Let me just find it. Sorry, I'm not going to say any names of whatever. Oh, it's not actually. Hang on, I need to go on my phone for this. It's an email that came round actually at the place where I work. Obviously, I won't use any sort of names, but basically, it's the wording of it. So, essentially, what happens quite regularly is they have inspections to certain areas where I work. So there was an inspection recently. It was actually over in a different site where I am, but they sent an email to everybody talking about this particular inspection. Now, they start off by saying, we went to the area, the staff were quite pleasant, but, there were some areas of concern, this email says, about I'm trying to think of a different name without saying the name, but the inspectors basically shared some areas of concern that the teams, i.e. in the areas that they inspected, will be working on to address. So these included fire safety checks. Okay, cool. Fire safety is important. Use of interpreters. Okay, cool. You've got to get that right. And then it says, and unfortunately, evidence of some racial and anti-Semitic abuse from patients. No shit. It's a mental health ward. Do you unfortunately, they're dysfunctional. They do say things like this sometimes. And also, I would query, what were the things said? What was the abuse? What were the actual wordings? Do you know what I mean? So if I'm a staff member of that area, and I wake up this morning and read this email, which has gone out to everybody in 5 different boroughs of North London. So that's a lot of people this has gone out to. It seems to be saying, and it seems to be accusing the staff on this ward of not doing enough to stop patients being racist or anti-Semitic. These are mental health patients who are on wards, so they're severely unwell.
Obviously, that's the most important thing when someone is mentally ill on a ward.
But just
it's not their safety or their well-being, or it's whether they're saying the right words and whether they're.
But they're mentally unwell. They're not going to be saying, the ideal things. Do you know what I mean? And to put it in an email that goes to everybody in the trust. I just thought that was just horrendous, to be honest with you. And sorry to sort of go off topic, but I just thought it just reminded me.
Bro,
But it just goes to show you what is happening on the ground. This happens in the media, in those upper echelons in the media bubble, but it's also very much happening on the ground to sort of
Well, of
average.
course, it's nonsense, but the point is just the sheer repetition of it, and it's that effect, isn't it, of repetition, and it becomes ingrained in a habit, and then you start to feel guilty if you have any ideas like that, even though it's not rational, but it's if if they sort of they're just painting the room, they're just decorating. This is the decor of our reality, isn't it? And you
I
just
would
have
love
to
to
deal
know.
with it.
I might try and find out with my connections. I'd love to know what these inspectors would suggest as a remedy for this situation. I mean, the only thing I could suggest is when there's an inspection, give all the patients diazepam about an hour before the inspectors arrive, so they're all so zombified they can barely talk anyway. That's the only way I can potentially see you stopping it, because, I mean, you could try to, quote unquote, educate these patients as much as possible, but at the end of the day, they're mentally unwell. They could say anything. It's just a madness, man. Absolute madness.
Hey, yeah, literally.
Societies that they once were in the last century. Jews are going to be at the center of that. It's a huge transformation
From the horse's mouth,
for Europe to make. They are now going into a multicultural mode, and Jews will be resented because of our leading role. But without that leading role and without that transfer,
see, that's the thing. I get suspicious. I mean, I can understand this. These people got long memories. They remember the 3 wars against Rome and the destruction of Jerusalem, the murder of the pilgrims, the massacre, the million dead, and they want revenge. And I don't blame them because the Romans really fucked them over. Just evicted them from their own country. He destroyed Judea completely, banished them completely from it. And they want revenge, and that's what they're doing. But what gets me is when you've got voices on the right, like I was saying, Andrew Gold interviewing David Betts, and they are of the same ethnicity as this lady, yet they are pretending they claim to be on the other side, but at the same time they're stoking and promoting this conflict, this ethnic conflict, which they would love to see, because these people do not have our interests at heart. They have a very real agenda, and that prefers their own people, and ultimately they would like to rule the world. I don't think there's any doubt that they do, perhaps, because the Freemasons are the ones who sort of control everything behind the scenes. But yeah, so that's about that's all that's about. But I wanted to finish with something, but I don't really have a lot of time to go into it. Do you want to finish? Do you want to have something? You got anything to add or?
Where my tab has gone now.
Yeah.
It was just this story we were talking about backstage, which is kind of crazy. We just quickly look at it, and then we finish off with your bit. Let me just get this. So I have to click what 184. Do I have to? What's going on here? Which one do I have to?
Yeah, the one that hasn't got the 2 avatar characters, the 2.
Hang on, I've got it.
Yeah, you got it.
Here we go. So yeah, very sort of crazy story. So yes, this in Minnesota, this happened. There's an Ethiopian migrant. He says accused of executing 3 apartment staffers, but he did execute them. He was upset that he wasn't allowed to cancel his $65 a month parking garage contract, which he must have paid for in advance or something like that. So he decided to murder 3 of the staff there. So yeah, I won't go into the actual detail of the murders, but yeah, while being arrested, the guy reportedly said he hated the American system. Why are you there? And was mad that his family couldn't immigrate to the US from Ethiopia. Also claimed he was treated unfairly because he's black, of course, and an immigrant, of course. So yeah, obviously this all excuses him shooting 3 people dead. This is obviously a completely balanced reaction to that situation. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with this guy. He's probably, I guess, just going to be in prison for life at the expense of the American taxpayer. So I don't know. There needs to be a more robust system in terms of getting people out who commit crimes. But that's another tale for another time. But like we were saying backstage, I mean,
that's George Soros, though. That's George Soros's doing. Yeah.
And it's surprising to see. It's not usually an Ethiopian guy. Like we were talking backstage. Ethiopia when we were growing up was the place that we'd see on TV where you make donations and the pictures of starving children and this kind of thing. So yeah, it's craziness, man. It's just never ending. There's like we were saying, we've got every time we do a new show, we've got either a new stabbing, a new shooting. It's just a multiple weekly occurrence now.
But we do predict the future occasionally, which is kind of good.
Yeah, recently we've been doing all right. Maybe we need to do a lottery edition of the show. I don't know.
Okay, so I was going to finish off with this. I've just been doing a bit of research because what's going on in Iran. I mean, I know that's a very polarizing thing. And I think a lot of people, quite rightly, believe that we shouldn't be doing anything to the Iranians. A lot of, I think Trump, I think we've mentioned this before. I think you probably don't really, obviously don't support what's going on in Iran. I get the impression.
I'm just kind of like I said before, I'm just sort of like cautious about like who's actually in control, who it's for, this sort of thing. I mean, I don't doubt that Iran does horrible things to its people. That's to be clear.
Yeah.
I'm not doubting that needs to be sorted out. But yeah, who on behalf of who and what does it lead to?
Well, the problem is it could well lead to the end of the world. And what is quite worrying is the fact that the Shia 12 sect of Islam, which rules Iran, is specifically dedicated to provoking the end of the world because they believe that their Mahdi will be revealed in the final moment and they will have and Jesus will apparently be supporting the Mahdi, which is bullshit. In fact, the Mahdi, if he is anything, he'll be like an antichrist figure because Islam specifically I believe was created to destroy Christianity, to remove Christianity from the Middle East. As you may know, it used to dominate the whole Middle East before the Arabs appeared. So even Judea, there were sort of Jewish rabbis in the Roman period who complained that none of the young people would carry on the Jewish religion. They were all becoming Christians. All the Jews were being Christianized.
Did you say that Christianity, you were saying, dominated the Middle East? Did you say?
Yeah, of course, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, because the Romans, after the Roman Jewish wars, they'd cleared the Jews out. Jews couldn't couldn't visit Jerusalem except for only one day of the year, and that was only so they could see the destruction the Romans had done to their city. It was full of Christians and Romans, and then ultimately they were evicted even from Judea itself, not just Jerusalem. And so it became, ultimately, once the Roman Empire adopted Christianity, it became Christianized. Then it became the Byzantine Empire, which was obviously a Christian empire, which included Turkey, the Middle East, as we understand it, Jordan, Egypt. All of these areas were Christian, which are now ruled by Muslims.
Yeah, do you know what? That's a good point. I don't know why I questioned you then, because I do know this. I just haven't really thought about it. Yeah, it wasn't it? I don't know why I've not really thought about it too much.
Nobody thinks about that. I mean, what we call Turkey was, has been Christian for longer than it's been Islamic. I think it's 1492 was the fall of Constantinople. So it's been somewhat over 500 years. But before that, it was Byzantium, and it was the center of the Eastern Christian Roman Empire. So I got looking into Iran and Shia Islam, and do you know about Shia Islam? Do you know what the difference is between that and Sunni Islam?
I don't know the difference, no.
So it's all about the it's all about the caliphate. So there were four the Rashidun caliphates were the rightly guided caliphs who succeeded Muhammad. And it diverted because of the succession of the caliphate. Now, Ali and Fatima. Fatima was the daughter of Muhammad, and Ali married Fatima, and their son became the fifth caliphate, and then the sixth caliphate of the rightly guided of the first caliphate was were related to Muhammad, specifically related to Fatima through his daughter. But the Shia revere Ali. Now the thing is, Ali was murdered, and his sons. Most of the I think 4 of the early caliphs were murdered. They were basically just always murdering each other. They couldn't. There was no stability. And what happened is there was a schism between Shia Islam and Sunni Islam on the matter of which caliph to follow.
Right.
So weirdly as well, Aisha, who was Muhammad's youngest wife, she actually came out on the side opposing Ali and Fatima, that succession. And ultimately, they lost, and the succession went to the the Umayyad from Muawiyah the first. He came after Ali's sons were murdered. Remember, Ali was specifically related, married Fatima, and kind of producing sort of basically a hereditary sort of caliphate based on Muhammad's daughter. So what happened is that the Sufis, they're a secret society, they're an order, they're a mystical Islamic organization, and they've been going since like the 7th or 8th century, and they created something called the Safavid order, which ruled Iran from 1501 until the 18th century. And before that, Iran was actually a Sunni Muslim country. The Persia was Sunni Muslim. So since 1501, Iran or Persia became Shia. So it became, and specifically the Twelver, which is the largest form of Shia Islam. Now, there are 11 Shia caliphs, so they take it to 11. The 11th caliph was murdered, I believe, and he had no offspring. But the belief in the 12 for Shia believe that there was a secret child from the 11th caliph, and that somehow this is the Mahdi. This is their sort of Messiah,
right?
But in a sort of weirdly nonsensical way, they believe this character, this 12th Imam, is still alive. That he just sort of disappeared from reality. He became occluded, and that he exists, and he's going to emerge in the final days of the battle between, Islam and no doubt whatever the idolaters or the heathen or whatever they think the Christians are. And this is what Iran, the people who run Iran and have ruled Iran since the 16th century. This is what they believe. So they're basically apocalyptical. So they have. So what is particularly odd, though, is the parallels between Sufism and Sufism. The Salafids, the Safavids were a Sufi secret society that became the government of Iran. So this is why I've heard stories about the Iranian Republican Guard undergoing initiations in coffins, just like the Skull and Bones, because it all comes from the same source. It all Templarism, Freemasonry, it all comes from the Middle East. So they're kind of like the same thing, this sort of secret cult, the Freemasons, the Sufis, the Skull and Bones, secret society, they're all kind of the same thing. And I put a query into Grok, wondering whether there's a connection between the Kabbalah, which I've written about and studied, and whether there's a connection between the Kabbalah and Sufism. And if I can just find, and I'll just finish with this, and then we can all go about our business. But I'm afraid I've just lost the window, which is bloody annoying. Have you got any comments to make on that, so you can give me a bit of time?
I was just trying to kind of it's a lot of new information for me. There's some new information anyway. Kind of some of it I already knew. But I was actually, whilst you were talking, I was just sort of looking up Kabbalah, the sort of ancient esoteric discipline philosophy that forms the foundation of Judaism. So I might have a little read about that later, because I need to refamiliarize myself with that.
Yeah, sure, for sure. Yeah, it's really the stuff that's ruling the world. I mean, it's the idea and concept behind Freemasonry. I mean, the thing is, not a lot of people really even believe in secret societies, or they're not even interested. But I think the problem is we all should be interested, because, as the Manic Street Preachers said, if you tolerate this, your children will be next. So the parallels between Sufism and Kabbalah are pretty extensive. So what we're dealing with in Iran, we're dealing with the same kind of group. It's like it might as well be Jewish extremists, because they're operating from the same core principles. So the striking differences, similarities have been noticed. Scholars of comparative mysticism. So, for instance, the unknowableness of God. Now, that's not a Christian point of view, because Christians believe Jesus is an embodiment of God. They believe they can know God through Jesus. But in Gnosticism and Kabbalah and Sufism, you have this unknowable, maybe even disinterested God that you can only experience through the attributes that come into that enter material reality. And so you have in Kabbalah, you have the 10 Sephiroth. So, you know, the kindness, what are they? Power, there are different attributes of. It's kind of like basically psychology. It's all the different sort of aspects of the human character and human experience, but they're sort of they're sort of like emanations of God. So God is like not a complete thing, but can only be understood by examining the composite parts of reality. So also they believe in the perfect primordial human. So in Sufism, they're trying to create this kind of perfect man, and that will be the Mahdi, that will be their Messiah. Now, they call it, in Sufism, they call it a kutub. And there's something really weird. Have you heard of the Muslim Brotherhood?
Yeah.
Do you know about the Muslim Brotherhood? They were kind of sponsored by the Americans, by the CIA. And they went into North Africa and the Muslim countries as a sort of attempt to radicalize the people and throw off the Russian yoke, because they're all ruled by Russian secular, basically appointees in most of the Arab countries.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I know about it, is they were kind of like they're behind like pushing for like Islamification of society.
Radical Islam. I mean, this all began in the 70s. This isn't a new thing. This radical Islam we find. I think we've mentioned before how people have mentioned how in Iran and Egypt that women most women would have their hair long and uncovered, and the men would be dressed as hippies, wearing jeans, going to nightclubs, dancing.
Pictures of Afghanistan,
no different from Western people. You've seen the pictures of Iran before.
Afghanistan as well.
Yeah, Afghanistan, which is incredible, isn't it? So the whole world seemed to be sort of going on to this peaceful sort of, disco, this sort of new world disco order, right? Everyone was just chilling out, even Muslims and the Arab world. They're all just happy to go along with Western culture, which at the time, wasn't as extremely corrupt as it is now. But a kutub is this Sufi, it's a Sufi messiah. It means the perfected man. And very strangely, the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood, the creator of the Muslim Brotherhood, is called Sayyid Qutb. So everywhere we look, we see the secret hand of the Sufis involved in all kinds of Islamic extremism and even terrorism around the world. So we're dealing with a secret society that's no different from the Kabbalic or the Freemasonic societies. But yeah, I just wanted to go over that. I know that we've stretched over, we've gone over 2 hours. I think I might go into this a little bit further, but I just wanted to at least cover the things. Just cover the things I wanted to go into.
Yeah, I didn't realize they were connected like that. So yeah, that was kind of interesting.
Well, it helps you. You realize, what is the Iranian regime? What is that? What is the power that's supporting them? That even Trump can't dislodge them, and it's something that's been there potentially for over 1,000 years. Perhaps potentially it's even older, but ultimately it's a satanic cult which involves contact. It involves seeing angels and discarnate beings and strange metaphysical shenanigans. So it's sort of part of the kind of thing that I research, like kind of the gray area where reality sort of fades and there's something else on the edges of reality, but you just don't know what it is. And that mystery behind the curtain is really what's controlling everything that we're sort of spectators of and we're experiencing in this world right now.
Well, this is it. This is exactly kind of what I was going to say. I mean, like you were saying earlier about people not wanting or not looking into it, not even just not knowing about it, but not even have the drive to look into it. I mean, they create such a problematic world for people that there's no time or will from people to look into things like the Kabbalah, Freemasonry, secret societies, because people have so much to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Like nobody cares. Nobody is interested really. Obviously, there's people who go on the David Icke forum and people like us too, but we're in a vast minority when it comes to looking into these kind of things to the extent we do and trying to understand them to the extent we do. The average person down on the street here couldn't care less. And it's crazy, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I keep thinking of this. And ultimately, as much as we blame, people thank God Keir Starmer's gone, because it now looks like they won't continue with the digital ID.
Yeah, I saw that.
Great, because that bothered me in particular. I knew that would end up curtailing our ability to use the internet freely.
I don't know about whether that will
identity.
I think, will it actually not happen? Well, we'll see. We'll see how that goes anyway. I'm skeptical whether they can stop it, but anyway, we'll see.
But yeah, I'm under no illusions, though, that he's not just another WEF puppet.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just so glad, because it looked like we'd be stuck for Starmer forever, didn't it? And the way he just wouldn't budge, and no matter how hated he was, but now
didn't he come across to you like he looked like somebody who had to say certain things because he was compromised? I feel like Starmer just came across as a compromised individual saying whatever.
He just has that look on his face whenever he's been interviewed that he looks like the fruity uncle who's been caught doing something he shouldn't with his niece or something. Or he's young. He looks like an absolute fruity scumbag.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? He looks guilty, right?
Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm saying. It was so obvious.
So obvious, allegedly. Yeah.
Allegedly, yeah. We have to say
definitely. He's just a remote control. He was a remote control prime minister, just like Biden. Just something that they can control, and he will do exactly what they say. But thank God he's gone. It's just brilliant that he's gone. I'm so pleased. It was so depressing that he was still there and nobody wanted him to be there. Even the lefties don't want him to be there.
It's just great that we don't have to see his stupid posts, his stupid comments and quotes and speeches, and it's great. It's a step in the right direction for our own sanity.
All right, mate. So I think we'll wrap it up there. We'll go to the outro. It's been a pretty good show.
Yeah, it's been a good one. Yeah.
I feel like all the hecticness is sort of fading away now. I mean, after the World Cup, that has been hectic. I've been sort of had a hectic summer so far. I've been busy. Now I can just sort of chill out and just dedicate myself to whatever.
Yeah, I've actually got a few things lined up. Over the next few weeks, I'm actually sort of being a bit social. So yeah, kind of like you're saying, like we've gone from the sort of like regimented 3 football matches a day, staying in and watching that, or like I was anyway. And now I'm actually going to get a bit out and about whilst we've only got like a month of summer left. And
I think the football lasted just long enough. I think, with the how many teams? 64 teams?
It's not. It will be for the next one, but it was 48. Yeah, they said they're going to make the next one.
That's madness. Because it's to me, it's almost not too much, but it's like just enough football.
I know what you mean.
I don't think I could have taken another week of it, for instance, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Point of diminishing returns, as we always talk about. But like, it now leaves about a month, like maybe 6 weeks of summer left, where it's like you're free. If you're a big football fan, you're kind of free to do what, be a bit social and get out of the house a bit. So I'm looking forward to that. There's a few like drum and bass. In fact, I've got one coming up this Saturday. It's a daytime rave over in Camden. I went last year. Hopefully, when I return home, I can get back into my house, because last year I returned from this same rave and my door lock was broken somehow and I couldn't get in. I had to get the guy who lives in the flat round the back. He quite worryingly got my window open at the front.
Yeah.
And I jumped in that way. It took about half an hour to sort that out. And it was just.
Have you seen anything of the shitting man? Talking of your neighbourhood.
Not seen him again, thankfully.
No, was there another? How many? There was a few weird characters, wasn't there? The shitting man. Was there another one? The screaming man.
The ones that were kind of pub names.
Huh?
The ones that were like pub names.
We turned them into pub names, didn't we? Like,
no more howling men, thankfully. Well, this area though, you've got the right characters to do these things. I swear. There'll be something soon, I'm sure.
I can't look forward to that. Yeah, the new pub name.
We will eventually build this.
I mean, it's not very nice in a way, but you got to see the funny. I mean, listen, you got to just laugh at it, because I think that's the gift of humor. There's not, as bad as things can be, as long as you can.
It's an archetypal British thing, isn't it?
Satirize them and take the piss. Obviously it's a defense mechanism, but at the same time, it's good for the character.
You know what I mean? The alternative is to
is just get really fucking angry or really depressed. And neither of those.
To be honest with you, I need to sort of maintain myself, because I was on the train today and I think there were two Turkish lads. It was either Turkey or Albania. I think the language they were speaking, I wasn't quite sure. But I was sat down and they came and sat right behind me. So I was sat on like one of those 4-seaters. I had like a 4-seater bit to myself. And one of them sat directly behind me on a 2-seater. And then his mate sat adjacent to him on the other 2-seater on the other side. And then they both sat down. They didn't talk to each other. They got their phones out and just started going through fucking Instagram reels out loud on their phones. I swear down, I almost was getting into a fight with those guys.
Yeah.
I was seething. I was sat there on the chair, like, don't say anything. They were tiny.
I had those like these Indians who were on the tube, and the guy was just honking into his fucking mobile phone at this maximum volume.
Oh, it's so jarring.
And I just thought the best thing is just walk or just leave, because I'm getting angry. And I did say a comment. I just said, for fuck's sakes, you have to make so much noise. And I just went off. But I just, I don't want to turn fucking England into. I mean, I've been to Egypt. I went to Egypt before Christmas. I used to live in Egypt. And these places, and it's going to be loud and noisy. You're going to be on the night coach, and for some reason the driver's going to play fucking Egyptian fucking music when everyone's trying to sleep at full volume, because they do. They somehow don't care. That's how they do things. In the Arab world, they like to make a lot of noise. They like to be noisy. That's fine. You can do that, and I'll go to your country and be a tourist, and I'll tolerate it, and I'll just think, okay, this is your country, this is how you behave. But do you have to make my country so fucking noisy as well?
Yeah, exactly, man. And I'm on the overground twice a day, Monday to Friday. Do you know what the funny thing is, True Spoon? I've been doing that commute for nearly 7 years now. 7 years in this November. And this phenomenon for me personally, I don't know about listeners who have other journeys to work, but on that particular overground train, this has only really started since within the last 18 months. It's really picked up. And I don't know exactly why that is. Because prior to about 18 months ago, it rarely happened. Now it happens every day, every journey, literally.
There's always like a group of Turks or Kurds just with their phones on for full volume, just sharing Instagram reels, kind of thing.
Well, I have to say, look, I'm not trying to be funny about this. I have to say, it's never a white or black Brit. It's always somebody who's not in that category. From my observations, just on my train, it's never a white or black Brit. It's never a British person as such. It's an import usually. So
the problem is, you'll get to the point where you'll do the right thing. You think, oh, I'm not gonna get angry. I'll just walk. I'll just move somewhere else. But you'll move somewhere else, and it'll be the same thing. It'll be the same identical group of people with different names. It'll just be the same copy paste sort of identikit Turks, just splat out all over the train, just completely everywhere. Just doing
it's funny you say that, because that literally happened to me. Because I've got in the habit now of like you say, just not getting or trying not to get angry. I was wavering a bit today, but usually I will either move or I'll just deal with it.
I know you're a big lad as well. I know you can.
There was one day. It's funny that you say it though, because there was one day where I moved, and where I moved to, the train stopped at the next stop, and some fucker got on and started doing the same thing. So I moved again, like an idiot. I moved again, but I couldn't find anywhere. I was walking down the train. Literally every carriage I went to, there was some fucker doing it. I was like, this is crazy.
Annoying, isn't it? Yeah.
I just stood in the middle bit in the end and just wait. It's not a long journey, thankfully, but it's long enough. I mean, only a few seconds is long enough if someone's just blasting Insta reels, changing every 5 seconds. Do you know what I mean? And but it's interesting that you gave that context though, because I didn't really quite think about it like that. They are coming from countries where that is the norm in public life.
Yeah.
Anyway, man, it's been a great show. I've really enjoyed tonight's show.
That's good. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in. Whoever's receiving these EM signals and hearing my voice, whether on this planet or another, who knows? The way things propagate through the cosmic medium, who knows where
it could be in this dimension
end up one day, right?
There could be infinite dimensional fans of the show.
Could be. Yeah, that's what keeps me doing this anyway. The thought of these interdimensional fans. Yeah,
and if you are an
interdimensional YouTube audience builds up, I'll just have to think about those ones. Yeah,
that's what we can say. Like, we may have X amount of people watching in this dimension, but we have infinite views in other dimensions. I mean, and if you are an interdimensional listener, please, send us an email. If you have that means of communication, or don't beam voices into our heads, that kind of thing. I'm not into that. So, but please, if you are an interdimensional being, try and find a way to communicate normally through email or use the chat, please. Don't do anything weird and alien-y, because I'm not. I'm kind of not into that. I'm not. We know you're mischievous as well. We know you've got a little mischievous streak to some of you guys in the other dimensions. So just play nicely.
Yeah. All right, we're going to say goodbye. I've got a phone call anyway. I'm going to answer that. So I'll play us out and see you next week. Same time, same.
Keep tumbling, guys. Keep tumbling.
Keep tumbling through space. Yeah, let's do it.
Ciao. See you later.
Ciao.